happening? What's happening? We're gonna get this. Stream started soon. We're gonna get this party started right in a minute, or 5, or 2, or 3. Don't go away, for God's sakes. You know I always start the stream before I'm ready to, come on camera and actually, show you the kind of content I've been collecting for us. I've been collecting content. I've been curating content. I'm finally getting comfortable calling it content. Such a fancy word. We're gonna watch Pinko TV. We're gonna look at the stuff that I bookmarked over the last couple days that I want to look at and make comments on. That's what we're going to do. I mean, maybe one day I'll have a real fancy, well thought out, slickly produced stream. But for right now, as I get to learn my way around the Twitchesphere, this is what we're doing. And it's a good time. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're in the right place for a good time. I gotta say, I was a little bit put off when I fired up OBS and fired up Discord and started setting up the scenes and stuff, because you know what they've done? They've gone and changed the terms of service on us. Imagine that. Imagine a company as wealthy and strong and massive as Twitch. Well, the owners of Twitch. Jeez, they've gone ahead and changed the terms of service. One of the things that I have to be careful about now, I think, if I'm reading any of this right, one of the things I really have to be careful about is playing some of these guillotine truck videos. I regard them as art. I really do. I totally regard them as art. But evidently, Lectin. In fact, Lectin, I think it was you. I saw a message that you had posted, or I think it was you. Somebody had posted a message about the terms of service being changed and how we can't be playing like, the Proud Boys. And oh, you did DM. Thank you for that. Right. So like playing video of the Proud Boys attacking people, or playing videos of Antifa. Here, let me go ahead and do this. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Whoosh. Bingo. That's the first one. How are you, folks? So yeah, so Antifa. Evidently, we're not supposed to be playing videos of this kind of stuff now, even if it's as news, or as if we're criticizing it. If we're like, oh look how, if we're denouncing the violence, and they really even said property destruction, but I think they said large property destruction. Like, so if the World Trade Towers got attacked again and they fell down, right? We wouldn't be allowed to talk about that. We wouldn't be allowed to put that on a stream. Did you log into a mirror? Hey, Trev, how are you? Yeah, I may be in a mirror. I think I'm still left to right. I'm that way's the camera, and that way's my thing. So it looks like we've got a little change. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do, and I'll probably have to preview some of the stuff that I wanted to look at without looking at it first, because I really would much rather find something. Yeah, right? How about that? I think I got it a little too dark. What do you think? It's like way too dark. It's way too dark. But I didn't have time to try to wash it out and fix it. Not hair club for men. What do they call it? Just for men. It's too much, right? It's too much. You just got here and you know it's too much. I'm afraid if I go try to wash some of it out, like during like a 5-minute break, if I go and I try to wash some of it out, I'll come back and it'll be like smeared all over my face. It's too much. I was just trying to get some of it. No, I would never use a Sharpie. It's like just for men. It's a little hair color thing that you know colored it on. Oh, look at you. Oh, you're European, I see. You're English? You have a U in your color. You have a U in your color. Junk Lord Perth. Junk Lord. Welcome. How are things in Shiftville? You got the blues? It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll wash out. It's really fresh. I could go get, but now we're here. This is the way it is. I was hoping. I almost turned the lights down a little bit. Thought, oh, we'll do one in the dark. We'll do one in the dark tonight. See, I'm just mixing it up. Just mixing it up around here. I think I'm gonna get one of my Burning Man pictures. I've got this great profile picture, professionally done at a studio at Burning Man one year by one of my fellow burners and campmates and friends, Ben Tang. Ben Tang, if you're watching on Facebook. Anyway, and another burner friend painted my bald head, fresh shave, and was doing body paintings and face paintings. I'm like, anyway, and they did this really cool. I look like Darth Maul. Was it Darth Maul that had all the? Oh yeah. Pinko Bingo definitely needs to have a Burning Man reference. So I've whooshed and Burning Man'd already, but it's in context because I don't always want to wear one of these. I like these, but anyway, I was gonna we're gonna change things. I wasn't able to move things to the other side because the bed is still here because the people that were supposed to come and take it away, they didn't, and I can't lift over 20 pounds and yada yada. And there's all these rules from the cardiologist. So So fun fact. We're gonna lose some of the content that I want to be able to do here occasionally, just because, for reasons. Thanks, Obama. Thanks for that. See what's going on from Chrome. I have a bunch of things, and I think we want to start with this but I have to. Oh man, I have about 20 things saved for tonight's show. It's not a show. It's a stream, right? It's not a show. It's a stream. 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 And I wanted to watch this. I have not seen it. It's fairly short. 8 minutes long. Welcome to the stream. Play along with me, will you?
These were the faces of a new political order. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 communist leaders.
Top 10.
For this list, we looked for political revolutionaries and communist leaders who had a major impact on the emergence and growth of communist states throughout the world in the
And you know I'm going to groan a bunch. I know they're going to say some anti-communist shit somewhere. Or maybe not. Maybe it'll be straight up. I don't know. We'll see.
20th century.
But I like it. I like it so far.
This iconic guerrilla revolutionary died for his Marxist ideals.
His?
Born in Argentina, Guevara trained as a doctor.
Actually, let me correct that. He was murdered by the CIA because capitalists don't want to compete with communism. Because capitalists like their profits so much, they don't want to compete. So they sent the jackals to go murder him. So let's just be clear about that. He didn't die for what he believed. He didn't die, right? He was murdered by the CIA.
But turned to social activism. This iconic guerrilla revolutionary died for his Marxist ideals. Born in Argentina, Guevara trained as a doctor, but turned to social activism after witnessing the brutal living conditions of poor Latin Americans. A political activist in Argentina and Bolivia, Che turned to military action, fighting alongside Fidel Castro in Cuba. As an advisor to Castro's guerrilla army, Che was essential in the establishment of the West's first communist state.
Que no se puede confiar en el imperialismo, pero ni tantito, nada.
Number 9. Nikita Khrushchev. After making a splash by denouncing his predecessor, Joseph Stalin, upon gaining power, Khrushchev worked to improve his population's quality of life, allowing for greater levels of cultural and intellectual freedom. Despite having brought the world to a standstill during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Khrushchev traveled throughout the world, promoting a policy of coexistence between East and West, a policy that provided a brief thaw during the Cold War.
That's what we're telling you. Don't be afraid of ideas. We have nothing to fear. The time has passed when ideas scared us.
I'd love to see that,
Number
Trev.
8. Ho Chi Minh.
Oh, Uncle Ho!
As North Vietnamese president and leader of the country's Communist Party, Ho fought against French colonial rule and led his people in bloody war with the Americans. After being raised as a Confucian and traveling the world in his youth, Ho embraced socialist ideology as a tool for change. Utilizing communist ideals to embolden a national revolution, Ho united his country and ushered in an era of Vietnamese self-government. Number 7. Mikhail Gorbachev.
That governs to this day.
Of his communist predecessors, Gorbachev helped welcome the end of the Cold War and of communism in Eastern Europe. Promoting a more open and economically progressive nation, Gorbachev championed discussion and political debate within Russia and other satellite states.
This is some bullshit
Most
right here.
significantly, he abolished the Brezhnev Doctrine's demand for
bullshit right here.
States.
You know that guy right there? Fuck that guy. Just, I don't know. Come on now. Really?
For the legalization of unions, various political parties, and subsequently free elections.
Though my pronunciation may give you difficulty.
Fuck that guy too, really?
The maxim is, dovii no provii. Trust but verify.
Значение этого.
I lived through this. I was in my 20s during this time.
Every meeting.
It's trash.
Number 6.
Yeah.
Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
Castro is an iconic figure of the Latin American socialist movement. In the 1950s, he spearheaded a military campaign against the dictator Fulgencio Batista with only 81 men. Despite a brutal defeat, Castro continued his fervent military and propaganda campaign, and soon his 800-man guerrilla force and Batista's 30,000-man army had their final conflict. Castro emerged the victor, establishing the communist rule in Cuba that remains today.
Yay!
Are you a communist, Fidel? Well,
hey, Riot Girl.
wait for the history.
Riot Girl Kelly. Subcountable.
Number 5.
Yeah, subcountable. I'm like, wow. Look at this.
A supporter of Lenin's radical communist mandate, this spellbinding orator and Marxist champion played a key role in the Bolshevik usurpation of Russian political power. As a Red Army general and a phenomenal political strategist, Trotsky made essential contributions to the establishment of Lenin's leadership in the USSR. Considered Lenin's obvious successor,
who's that
Trotsky
good-looking
was
man right there?
outmaneuvered by Joseph Stalin's cunning politicking. And
Right. It's not because he just like earned it because, you know, people in the party said, "Oh yeah, we want him, not him." No, it was because, you know, Joel. Anyway, whatever. I'm not going to do that this whole night.
and was eventually assassinated while living in exile.
Stalin was right
Yeah, well, you know.
to be frightened of his great opponent. Today, he is reviled, but Trotsky is still revered by many as the man who might have led the Soviet Union into a less dreadful future.
Fuck it. Like, this is some bullshit, man. I thought, oh, top 10, you know, influential communist leaders. I thought, oh, well, this will be cool. I didn't watch it because I wanted to react, but yeah, wow. Okay. Well, you know, I think we see how this works, right? Words are hard. Cunning politicking. That's low key racist. Is it? How does that? I'd like to know why. I'm right now. I'm not. I don't quite get that. But yeah. Hey, Devil, how are you? Thanks for stopping. Joe McCarthy and Reagan at least had good feeling smart. Good smelling farts. Okay. Well, yes, I guess. I don't know. I don't know these things.
Number 4. Mao Zedong. Mao united China's 550 million inhabitants within one strong, centralized state. Supported by China's peasantry, Chairman Mao expelled all foreigners and established a new society along communist lines. Like many other communist dictators, Mao is a divisive figure. Though his rule saw the death of millions as a result of famine, forced labor, and murder,
Christ. All right, whatever.
He is credited with establishing China as a major world power.
But, you know, all right.
Number 3. Joseph Stalin. Stalin rose to power by establishing strategic alliances within the Communist Party,
by dedicating his life,
ruthlessly eliminating opposition. As a dictator,
by
he ruled
dedicating
the
his
USSR
life
with an iron fist, industrializing the state through
by
a rigorous top-down
being
consolidation of peasant farms into state-run enterprises, and rapidly implementing industrialization countrywide. Though Stalin's rule over communist Russia was one of the most brutal and bloody ever, he grew the Eastern Bloc to be the only rival in size and stature to the United States of America's influence over the Western world.
My name is Ronald Reagan.
Fuck that guy.
Last year, the contributions of 16 million Americans to the crusade for freedom made possible the World Freedom Bell, symbol of hope and freedom to the communist-dominated peoples of Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, well...
Number 2. Karl Marx. The father of modern socialism, Marx and his partner Friedrich Engels' Communist Manifesto was a powerful critique of modern capitalism, calling for the working class to seize the state, abolish private property, and establish socialist societies. Marx's work had little impact when it was first published. However, with massive economic shifts brought on by industrialization,
and then there's
Marx
Engels
became
too,
the
right?
voice of the working man.
Yeah. What is this bullshit
with
Reagan?
First in Europe and later throughout the world.
Propaganda is tricky.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Yeah, like so. No mention of Engels. Engels will maybe be here. I don't know.
Number 1, Vladimir Lenin. Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, better known as Lenin, was the driving force behind the Russian Revolution. An unabashed political radical, Lenin called upon Russia's working class to rise up against the wealthy and establish a socialist society. Offering them peace, bread, and land, Lenin galvanized the Russian proletariat, spawned a bloody revolution, and established the first ever communist state, with himself as its fearless leader.
Wow.
Do you agree with our list?
No, don't agree with it, but that's okay.
Which do you think have been the most influential communist leaders in history?
Yeah, I don't know. Chat. Bang them out. How should it be? 54321.
For more historical top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
And that's a fair bargain.
Yeah, this was wild. I thought it was going to be better than that. I didn't. Well, you know, there's starting to be watchmojo.com. There's starting to be more and more actual left content. Yeah, right. No Engels, no Luxembourg, no Liebknecht. Exactly, right? So there's starting to be more and more of that on the interwebs. More channels, more interesting stuff. But I think it's more the bread tuber types that are kicking in. By the way, EJ Non-Compete just did a really, really nice. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I wasn't gonna. What the hell? Let's just do this for a second, okay? But they just did. Anyway, I just want to watch this for a second. I gotta clean. We gotta cleanse the palate, so to speak. Let's cleanse the palate, shall we? Put your top 5 up there in the chat. I love that. As a communist, there is no one perfect leader, as they all have done substantial and significant work towards the communist cause. Boom. Bingo. Bam. I have not seen The Fall of Eagles. I have not. Is that a is it anti-communist, or is it just a really interesting show? I don't know anything about it. Oh, what's going on there? That's not good. What are we doing? We're going in circles? We're going in circles? Am I dropping frames? No, I am not. It just decided to stop right there. Nice. I should turn that back up. I'm sorry. It's like Vegas, only better. Oh, nice. I'd go to this show. I'd totally go to this show. Oh, Patrick Stewart. Yeah, he's like, do not trust the liberals. They will betray you. Yeah, see that now that feels better. That makes me feel a little bit better that we had that instead of the kind of weird ass anti-communist bullshit there in the beginning. But, you know, this is why we need communism chat. We do. Well, we have one here. And when I swear to you, about a month from now, when it's all squared away and locked in, I mean, it's never going to stay the same, right? There's going to be a major change, and things will get worked out. And it's gonna get better. I'm on a 5-month plan. 5-month plan. That's what we're gonna do around here. Maybe 5-week plans. I don't know if y'all know that I'm just winging this. I'm just winging it. I'm watching YouTube videos and just I would like to order one communism, please. Y'all are making me smile tonight. Y'all are making me smile. All right. I was going to check out something in a whisper, but I don't really want to do it right now unless it's urgent. But I can. Oh, for sure. Like I don't think I've ever played somebody else's content that is on Twitch. I don't think I've ever featured another Twitch streamer's stuff. But I want us to watch the first couple minutes of this. Oh, fucking yeah, at least the first couple minutes of this, because I want everybody to know it exists. Because I watched about 10 minutes of it.
You have to be happy.
Hey, stop. I watched 5 minutes of this. And it's such a difference. Like when you're on it's so different when you're on YouTube as your major platform. And you can edit things up and put it all together, make it look good. And then you can play it on Twitch. So this is non-compete on the off the YouTubes, right? So this just dropped, I think today. I think this came out just today, and I for sure wanted to watch it early on. And maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll do the whole 16 minutes and 36 seconds. I don't know, but I watched the first 5, and I'm like, yeah, this is good.
News on the march. Dateline, April 30th, 1945.
It looks great.
Berlin, Germany. The German High Command announced today that Adolf Hitler, the fierce commander of Nazi Germany, architect of genocide and aggressor in the war which has cost so many millions of lives, died today. He took his own life. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the survivors of the Fuhrer bunker, and we will continue to pray for the health and safety of the remaining Nazi High Command officials.
Hi, I'm American Johnson, and I'm not really an old-timey newsman. I'm a new-timey YouTube-type person, so yeah, Donald Trump got coronavirus. And I have to admit, my initial reaction was kind of reluctant joy. I mean, can you blame me? He's the most powerful fascist on the planet right now, and his negligence to take the virus seriously led to the deaths of over 200,000 Americans so far. But now that I've had a couple of days to reflect on the situation, I gotta say, I now feel totally unreluctant, unabashed, unrestrained joy.
How about that?
Coronavirus. Yeah.
How about that shit?
Yes. Yeah. Trump got coronavirus. That's pretty cool.
Dear.
I know I'm not alone in being happy that Trump got the Rona, because ever since Trump tweeted out his announcement that he had it, my Twitter timeline has been a nonstop crab emoji celebration of exuberance. But then there are the other reactions. A few leftists and a lot of liberals have taken it upon themselves to assume the gloom and harsh the mellow of our collective cyber crab.
Yeah, it's Lynn Noy's partner for sure.
We have the thoughts and prayers coming from the DNC elites like Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Nancy Pelosi, because I mean, of course we do. Neoliberalism is nothing if not decorous, after all. But then there are our fellow leftists who have taken the contrarian position that this is no time for jubilation, that the expression of pleasure that fascists like Donald Trump, Chris Christie, and Kellyanne Conway have tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
There's a wide range of criticism being leveled by leftists at
You should see the fucking liberals on my Facebook feed. I don't talk to a lot of them anymore, but I had them around for a long time, and I'm not going to get rid of them, but still trying to reach some of them. But oh my God, the scolding of other Democrats that are gleeful about Trump. Like, you should never wish that on your worst enemy. I'm like, really? So if Hitler got if Hitler got the COVID, you would wish him thoughts and prayers? Get the fuck out of here.
Leftists for feeling fine that Trump got the 1-9. And since I'm in the Trump getting sick is 100% a good thing camp, I figured I'd run through the criticisms that I've been seeing and address them one by one. Because I think there's a little more depth to the situation than a lot of people realize. So without further ado, here are the top 5 things leftists are saying to neg other leftists who are happy that President Donald J. Trump has been diagnosed with SARS-CoV-2 novel coronavirus. Number 1. We are leftists. We aren't supposed to take joy in suffering. This is probably the most convincing and most common argument I've seen. A lot of people are understandably uncomfortable with the celebration of the suffering of any human being. And, to some extent, I completely agree. I personally don't want any human being to have to suffer.
Oh,
I do have empathy, and if it were up to me, nobody would ever have to suffer, not even Donald Trump. I'm not sadistic, and I take no joy in the idea of Trump and his family having to go through pain. I have other reasons for thinking that Trump getting sick is good, which I'll get into later. But yeah, thinking about Trump having to go through pain in and of itself doesn't really do anything for me. That
I'm a little more petty.
It doesn't bother me one iota if you take joy in Trump's suffering.
Yeah, they do, right, girl?
I'm not a feelings cop.
This is the Feelings Police. We have you surrounded. Come out with your hands up. You are under arrest for the high crime of vibing.
Remember, Donald Trump is a fascist. He is the most powerful fascist in the world. He oversees a genocidal concentration camp system that is mutilating and sterilizing women, among many other human rights abuses and eugenics programs. He's a mass murderer and a tyrant, and we are all his victims. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to tell victims that they're not allowed to feel a certain type of way about their oppressors and their abusers.
Oh, somebody's been schooling him on the national question.
And I am not about to tell someone who has been beaten and gassed by federal police at protests, or who may have family in the camps, or who is currently facing eviction or otherwise suffering from any of the other countless crimes of the Trump administration. I'm not going to tell them they're not allowed to be happy that the abuser-in-chief got sick. I think we are entitled to our emotions and our reactions, and to work through them without being guilt-tripped by our comrades for having a tinge of happiness that the billionaire fraud who is murdering and torturing and imprisoning us might just be having a bad time himself for once. I know this isn't the most facts and logic argument in the world. On the contrary, this is an argument from empathy. It's my empathy that both makes me unable to enjoy directly the thought of Trump being in pain, and that makes me able to understand why others might enjoy the thought of Trump being in pain. Because we're talking about feels here, and feels are like super complicated, bro. And that being said, if you are someone who is upset about the idea that Trump is suffering because you are very empathetic and you just can't get excited or happy about anyone being miserable, then I totally get that. I respect that. As I said earlier, I feel kind of like that myself. I'm certainly not saying you have to be happy that Trump got COVID. You are entitled to your feelings just as much as anyone else. And if you find yourself feeling sad for whatever reason because Trump got COVID, that's
Trump 2020.
Totally
Fuck
valid.
your feelings.
You are entitled to your emotional reactions to things. The important thing when it comes to emotions is that we don't lose track of material reality and the work we have to continue doing as leftists. As long as we remember that there is a long road ahead of us, there's nothing wrong with simply having an emotion. Number 2, this is just like when liberals were celebrating that red states were having COVID surges. I've seen this argument.
Yeah, I just want to pause there. So that's as far as I got. And I thought, okay, we need to watch this. And I'm feeling like we should just watch the next part of it. And yeah, I've never played them. I think I played a piece of Luna, but I've never played Non-Compete. At any rate, I don't even know what the etiquette on that is. Do you play other streamers' stuff? Because he put a lot of work into this, but I thought I wanted to watch it, so that's.
Argument a few times on Twitter, and just no, it's not. I was disgusted when I saw liberals celebrating the fact that red states were having surges of COVID, because I'm from a red state. I'm from South Carolina, and I know that most people living in red states are victims of capitalism and fascism, not perpetrators of capitalism and fascism. So relishing in a heterogeneous group of millions of people, some of whom are victims and some of whom are not, being exposed to a deadly virus that does not discriminate in any way based on character or principles or ideology is ghoulish and cruel-hearted. You're not going to find me saying otherwise. But
great word.
There's simply no way for Trump to be considered a victim in this situation. If there's one human being in the United States of America that we can point a finger at to blame for all the misery, death, and suffering related to COVID, it's Donald Trump. It's just apples and Orange Man.
Oh!
Can't believe I made an Orange Man bad joke. Number 3, this is not a victory.
Actually, it was pretty good.
To be celebrated.
It was a natural.
So another thing I've seen going around is that this is not a victory we have earned on the left, and thus we should not be celebrating. In other words, we don't have the bragging rights, and we should be building our own celebrations instead of getting excited about an event we had nothing to do with bringing about. Which, of course, this wasn't a victory that we earned. But a lot of us on the left have been struggling hard throughout 2020, protesting, striking, raising money for mutual aid, organizing, agit-propping. It's been an extremely stressful, exhausting, unstable, terrifying year, and a lot of us are tired, frazzled, and worn the hell out from the constant struggle. So, maybe let us have this moment, even if we didn't earn it. Trump is the top dog of all the enemies we've been fighting tooth and nail against for months on end. Maybe forgive me for savoring a little of his misfortune, even if I wasn't directly responsible for it. I mean, Trust me, I know this isn't the end of that long road towards revolution. We have our work cut out for us. Even if Trump kicks the old proverbial bucket, we will still have our work cut out for us. Nobody is under any illusions about that. Trust me, I wish we did live in the wonderful land of Oz, where all you have to do is go up to the castle and melt the witch.
Revolutionary defeatism is definitely the right framework here.
I know reality ain't
Thank you for that,
We all
Subcountable.
know reality ain't like that, and there's plenty of struggle ahead of us. We are well aware. So when folks say we're celebrating too soon and acting like we somehow believe Trump getting COVID is somehow the end-all, be-all, supreme victory for the left, I just got to say, nice straw man. See what I did there? Like I extended the metaphor.
I like his editing thought process and what
YouTube essay thing. Number 4, Boris Johnson, aka the
Eeyore position.
This is perhaps the most annoying reaction I've seen to Trump getting COVID. A lot of folks are just doomering the fuck out of the situation. They're like, well, when Boris Johnson got COVID, it just made everyone support him even more. Nothing good's gonna come out of Trump getting COVID.
Oh dear.
If he gets really sick, everyone will feel sorry for him. If he recovers quickly, he'll just use it to dismiss the dangers of the disease even more. Everything's gonna be bad no matter what.
Oh
Good
my
Lord.
God. I've
So
never
many
seen
people
him do
just
that.
love
This is
pooping up
great.
parties. This is an incredible opportunity for the left. And you want to know why? It's because it presents a massive, undeniable contradiction. And contradictions are the bread and butter of agitation propaganda. The best way to shame the shit out of capitalism and to point out to everyone that
Hey,
the
Sludge
emperors
Driver,
are
thank you. I
blood-naked
am.
is to
I am.
shine a
Thank you.
light on contradictions, magnify them, highlight these contradictions for the working class to see all the lies
Nice.
and failures, the cracks in the facade, the problems
Cracks in the
that
wall.
drive this oppressive form of political economy. Now let's talk about Boris Johnson. In terms of data,
Do we
support
have
for
to?
Boris Johnson's government actually tanked after he got COVID. I know that's only one data point.
I thought
and
it went
I'm not
up.
from the UK, so let's just say for the sake of argument that it's true that Boris Johnson did get a bunch of support after he almost died from the very disease he was downplaying and refusing to take meaningful action to contain.
Dun, dun.
Well, that would just mean that we on the left didn't do enough to take advantage of the situation. We failed to seize the opportunity and to agitprop the shit out of the deliciously ironic circumstances which fully embody the hypocrisy and evil of Boris Johnson's genocidal negligence in the face of this pandemic. If we sit around having a pity party for ourselves now that Trump has COVID, if we take this time to brainstorm all the different ways that this might end badly for us instead of working hard to ensure that this situation works in our favor, we will have only ourselves to blame for whatever bad results do end up coming our way. As Carlos Marighella said in his absolutely must-read book, Mini Manual of the Urban Guerrilla, it is better to err acting than to do nothing for fear of making a mistake. Trump got COVID. The die is cast. There's nothing we can do about it now. These are the material conditions we have. It's now up to us whether we decide to seize the initiative and leverage this to our best advantage or wallow in indecisive worry and dread while our enemies push to spin this in their favor. In her absolutely must-watch video series on dialectical materialism, Comrade Luna explains the role
I
of
watched
the
this the other
revolutionary.
week.
This is
Great.
the job of a revolutionary. To look
So
at
good.
all the contradictions in the world and figure out which need to be negated to reach the outcome of a successful revolution. Of course, you can just quit. You can walk away and stop playing, but then the contradictions and negations go beyond your control and you will have no effect on who wins and who loses, which can have terrible results for other people. Which is why we must fight and do what we can to negate the contradictions so that we win.
So, you see, now that Trump has COVID, now that this is a material fact, it's on us to use this fact towards our ends, towards our revolution. So, start agitating. Put those contradictions to use, by golly. Number 5. It's bad optics.
I just want to pause it right there and say, if you haven't subscribed to their YouTube channel, to Luna Oi or Non-Compete, you should. You should. That's the minimum I can do for playing their content on my worthwhile, well-curated stream over here in the red corner at the left pole of the Twitchesphere. So, by the way, from the Bay Area, my man, I'm glad you're from the Bay Area. I'm glad you're here. Your question is inappropriate and it's none of your business. So, don't come in hot and ask a question like that. I mean, what the fuck are you thinking? Right? Like, really? Come on now. Come on now. Liberals make me upset, and I shouldn't wish anything on them. They make you upset by saying you shouldn't wish anything on them. Yeah, I know. Yeah, on him. Of course. Democracy needs to be removed and reinstitute autocracy and hierarchy. Yeah, I can see this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful relationship. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I am now going to go back to the thing that we were talking about a minute ago.
But EJ, it makes the left look bad when we celebrate Trump getting sick. It's not good optics.
I'm going to have to do a whole video on this optics bullshit pretty soon, I guess, because I'm seeing it come up again and again in the leftist spaces.
That optics is liberal bullshit. It's liberalism.
You see, a lot of leftists seem to think that our struggle must revolve around a constant battle against fascists to win over the hearts of neoliberal centrists. It seems like a lot of folks on the left think our main priority needs to be trying to prove that we're more virtuous than Nazis to a bunch of privileged upper middle class white people. I find this absolutely absurd. The people we need to be prioritizing in our messaging are the people who are suffering the most, the people who already have every reason to hate Trump and the fascist, capitalist, imperialist politics he represents.
Bingo.
Let's go for the low-hanging fruit here, folks. The millions of people across America and the billions of people around the world who are alienated and deeply oppressed and probably feel pretty hopeless nowadays. This might sound a little wacky, but I don't think our revolution is going to hinge on comfortable suburban bootlickers who might be scandalized by Trump drinking bleach memes. Optics is a game for liberals. Liberals have to constantly conceal, misconstrue, distort, and lie about their true intentions and positions and reality, because what they want isn't actually what's best for most of humanity. Reality is on our side, and we must own reality. This is a golden opportunity to drop truth bombs all over the internet. We should be rallying to point out these massive contradictions and owning it. There are now more community cases in the White House than there are in the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Let's own that shit.
Laos,
Let's scream
Vietnam
it at the top
combined.
of our lungs and take joy in it. We don't need to engineer or sugarcoat reality at all. We've been saying from the very beginning
working
that
class,
the key to
rise
defeating
up.
COVID
That's
is
right,
putting
Sludge.
human lives before capitalist profits, taking it seriously, and offering free testing and treatment and quarantine protection to anyone and everyone who needs it until the virus is completely contained. The fact that Trump called this virus a hoax, downplayed it for months, stood by as the death count climbed higher and higher and higher, and made fun of Biden on national television on the debate stage
the day
for
before
wearing a mask as disease spittle sprayed from his mouth is a testament to his monumental failure and a golden opportunity to undermine his politics and his regime, which must not be squandered. So, in closing, Trump's sick. That's good. I'm happy about it. The end.
Is that really the end?
Hey everyone, thank you for your patience as
Not quite.
this channel
Let's
has
watch
been
the
going
end of
through
this.
a lot of changes. We're doing a lot of new stuff. I think it's pretty cool.
All right,
Some new
tell us about it.
streams. And I'm working on some other big projects that'll be coming down the pipe. So my videos have been coming out a little bit less frequently than usual, but thankfully all these cool patron type people have been supporting
Look at that.
us
Look at all that
throughout
support.
these endeavors, and
Look at all
so
that.
we are able to bring you this content.
It's
So if you
nice.
are supporting us on Patreon, thank you so much for that support. If you are not supporting us on Patreon, maybe you will do that.
Maybe
now.
you will.
You realize that's
Look at all
how
those
we
people.
make this channel be
They're making bank.
the channel that you watch on YouTube.
Well, I don't know about that, but I
so
support a
thank
bunch
you
of people for like,
and we have
you
a
know,
stream
$5 a month
highlights channel now,
or
which is really cool.
$1 a month. Like,
We're
there's
updating
just,
that
I support a bunch
all the
of people.
time. So there's always cool video,
Not on Twitch yet.
viewing material that you can watch on the stream highlights channel. So go subscribe to that.
All right. So anyway, so there it is. There it is. That's the here. Y'all know how to y'all know how to use the interwebs, right? But just in case anybody's wondering, there's the there it is. Dun, 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 dun. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh yeah. So anyway, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. And I wanted to spread the joy. I want everybody to know about their channel, and I wanted to spread the joy. That's it. We're just going right through these tonight because I can't do a lot of times I like to go to 4 or 5 in the morning. That's not happening. I have to be up and alert and dressed and ready to answer the door at 11:30 in the morning, which means, getting off about 3 o'clock, 3:30 at the latest. Probably taking a sleeping pill just to be able to, to get her done, so to speak. Larry the Cable Guy is not even, he's Canadian. Get her done. Is that who used to do that? Get her. Oh my God. All right. Oh my, gaming setups that shouldn't exist. I don't want to take our time with this. But I do, but not on a short night. It's hilarious. This guy just basically roasts people. Anyway, I'm just discovering this stuff. I'm so boom. I'm so boom. I'm so boom. I'm just saying. Inside the bullet train. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is really kind of interesting stuff,
and can be up
to me because of just a personal experience in my life. People that I know that are teachers, people that I'm involved with that are teachers, and socialists, or oh no's, Watch Mojo. I missed that. I don't have a drag queen story hour. That's not really my thing. I'm a Nazi piece of shit. Look at that. How's that? All right, man. Oh no, you're calling to what's going on with the Bay Area guy? Is he getting a little? Is this person getting out of control? Is there something up here that I should know about? Oh, don't make me give you a timeout. I'm in such a good mood. I don't want to give you a timeout for being bad news. Oh, now I have to read it, don't I? Now I have to read it to find out what's going on here. Fuck out of here, you Nazi piece of shit. Yeah, it's been banned. Okay. Well, I figured that wasn't going to go well. And I know you heard me. So I figured you would keep an eye on that. Yeah, he's some kind of Nazi, right? I do think that by saying in the red corner, I think that some people get confused and they think it's a Chud channel, right? It's a GOP Chud channel. Because the Chuds actually think that red, universally means the Republican Party. I mean, there's a lot of people that do. Okay. All right. So, okay, great. Subcountable, smashing, Lectin, everybody got that? I appreciate you telling me. And Treb, thanks for taking care of that for me. So So I saw this part of this earlier, and I was really. Oh, he said we were warming up. Oh, no way. Oh, I didn't see that. I did not see that. That probably would have. Yeah. I mean, that kind of thing is instant timeout, because some people should not. Yeah, that is instant ban. Yeah, that's instant ban. Devil comes in here and says some flamey, right-wing stuff in sarcasm. But I know Devil does it in sarcasm. But yeah, there's certain places, certain things you don't go there. You just don't go there. Make your jokes about the gulags, whatever, But the rest of that, that's yeah, just ban. Just ban. They really want to come back and apologize and say we made a mistake in banning. They can write me a letter. Snail mail. Take the time to write it out by hand. Not look, if you get a ban and you want to get back in, not snail mail letter to the post office box listed in the comments in the about section. And I'll get your mail and I'll read it. And we'll see from there. Anyway, but near and dear to my heart is the whole education thing. And and this caught my eye. I really do think that the YouTube algorithms are so much better than the Facebook algorithms and so much better than the Twitch algorithms in showing you and offering things based on your previous watch time and your likes and dislikes and yada yadas. So I've been getting better results the more and more I use YouTube. I was super late to YouTube. Super late. Hell, I was late to Twitch too. But I'm early for the politics section. Though I don't know what the advantage of being in podcasts and talk shows or being in just chatting. I don't know what the advantage is if your niche is really specific, right? So anyway, so I wanted to watch this, and maybe you've never thought of it. Grading papers is capitalist conditioning. Capitalist conditioning, grading papers.
Hello, Internet. Today we're talking about the way that our education system is shaped to help students internalize capitalist ideology. Specifically, I want to talk about the practice of grading. Grading teaches students that people are unequal and can be objectively, quantitatively ranked, which is the same basic principle that capitalism is built on.
Yeah.
In this video, I'm going to explore the ways that our education system lays the groundwork for capitalism through grading, and hope...
Yeah, definitely there's way more on Twitch. The volume, I mean, on YouTube, the volume is, tenfold. Anyway, all these personal things that going through the schools and I don't want to do his thing. I'm going to let him do his thing. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to get some more water. I'm going to be quiet. We'll hang out for this for a little while.
Hopefully, present a persuasive argument for abolishing grading as a whole. Before I get into my arguments, I just want to take a second and hold some space for anyone who feels dismayed at the idea of abolishing grading. If this is you, I imagine you'd probably like to feel recognized for all the hard work that you've put into getting the grades you've gotten. And yeah, I want to acknowledge that work. I'm guessing it was probably exhausting. My goal is not to deny your achievements, but to see if we can acknowledge achievements in an inclusive way that doesn't elevate anyone over anyone else.
Part 1. Is grading necessary?
Why do we grade? Sit with that question for a moment.
Sit with that.
Now,
just sit
you
with
might
that.
be thinking, if we didn't grade, then students wouldn't do anything. And yeah, I would agree. Under our current system, if you give an assignment that isn't graded, students probably aren't going to do it. Why not? Well, because they've got other work to do that is being graded, and they don't want to spend their precious free time working on something that they've been implicitly told by the system isn't important. That isn't students being lazy. It's them understanding how the system they exist within works and using their energy efficiently within that system.
Yeah, what a concept.
Do we honestly think that if we collectively stopped grading, students would just come to school and do nothing all day? I mean, our behaviors are shaped by our environments. I was in a theater group in high school, and I worked hard at that even though I wasn't being graded on it. I worked hard because I cared about the stuff that I was learning. I wanted to contribute to the group's success, and I don't know, it just kind of was what you did. It was the norm. From this example, we can see that external rewards are not the only way to motivate students.
And they're not the only way to motivate workers either.
Oh my god,
Another answer to the question of why do we grade is to provide students with feedback on their work. And yeah, some form of feedback is necessary. More on that later. But the problem comes when grades are treated
Arthur,
as
how are you?
an
I see you in
objective
Facebook.
measure of the quality of students' work.
Welcome, Arthur.
When a system that
Come
claims
to Twitch.
to be
Come hang out with us on
objective
Twitch,
consistently
Arthur.
ranks the accomplishments of some groups of people above others, like as can be seen in the case of the racial achievement gap, the message that sends is that some people are just naturally better than others. And if you don't believe me, consider the fact that the creator of the SAT test, Carl Brigham, was an outspoken eugenicist and thought that we needed to stop immigration in order to prevent the deterioration of American intelligence.
Jesus Christ.
In practice, grading ends up being highly subjective. Who gets to design the curriculum, grading rubrics, and make judgment calls on open-ended questions are all very important. Okay, so under our current system, who does get that power? Well, teachers, administrators, government officials, and rich people. If that last one seems out of place, I'd encourage you to look at how much influence Betsy DeVos had over our education system even before she became Secretary of Education.
Spoiler alert, she spent tens of millions of dollars trying to dismantle the institution of public education and replace it with for-profit schools.
I like it when
the people who are deciding what standards students will be graded against are largely old, white, middle or upper class, neurotypical, able-bodied, and cisgender.
That's right.
So the things they decide are important for students to be graded on often have very little overlap with their lives.
Exactly.
Like, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell became a meme because it was a shared experience of how disconnected what we learned in schools is from the realities of our daily lives. We need to radically broaden our definition of learning.
Yes.
Take, for instance, how we're taught to express our thoughts through essays in school. Forcing everyone to write an essay and then grading those essays based on how well they conform to traditional grammar structures is telling kids that some ways of expressing oneself are more legitimate and valuable than others. Not only does that end up disproportionately harming marginalized students, but by forcing everyone into a certain mold, it robs us all of our individuality and creativity. The class that I learned most from in high school was an English class where my teacher showed me that alternative ways of expressing oneself were valid. We had a project where we had to do some kind of presentation or artwork to represent where we feel most relaxed, or our free and easy space. I ended up making a video about how my free and easy space is inside my brain because I don't have to think in words and I can just kind of bounce rapidly from thought to thought. And that was a really authentic form of learning. I learned a lot about myself through that project. And every work of art and presentation that students shared cultivated a mutual understanding of one another that I found far more valuable to my life than whatever random essay I had to write. And that teacher really de-emphasized grading for that assignment. I think basically everyone got an A. I know I personally cared a lot less about my grade for that project than I did the feelings of exploration, community, and self-expression it provided me with.
Part 2. Grading normalizes unpaid overtime and busy work.
School is absolutely full of busy work. Some of it is obvious busy work, like word searches. I mean, what possible educational value could word searches have? Helping students read diagonally? They give the surface level appearance of education, like, hey look, letters, but don't actually teach anything.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit, but I don't know. Not enough to interrupt too much of this. Welcome, Arthur, if you found your way here. Arthur's coming from the Punks for Progress page over on Facebook, and perhaps will be showing up here or is here for the first time in the Twitch channel. So if you are watching this on one of the other platforms, come here. Come and hang out with everybody in the chat room and chat while we consume consume-worthy content curated by me in my free time.
Other busy work, at least, is less obvious. You know, like forcing students to do a bunch of repetitions of math problems that have no bearing on their life. And trying to make a student focus on their work when the work isn't relevant or important to them is fighting a pointless uphill battle. I mean, you might get them to do it, but this interaction teaches students more about the power dynamics between themselves and the teacher than the actual content they're supposed to be learning. And the stuff that they learn this way probably won't stick. I mean, how much of what you were taught in your least favorite high school classes do you remember? Also, side note, does the fact that students by and large hate school bother anyone else? Like,
well,
that feels kind of important to me.
Kind of.
The expectation that students should be working every moment they're in a classroom is a very useful foundation for capitalism to build off of.
Yeah.
Forcing students to do homework or read a book when they're done with an assignment is like the educational equivalent of, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. And that's not even getting into the ways that we saddle students with hours of work every night. Activist Aaron Ekins writes, I've come to the conclusion that the sole purpose of homework is to condition children into accepting that unpaid overtime, ridiculous hours, and not even being able to escape work in your own home are normal things to expect in their future. I agree with this tweet so hard that...
Yeah, I do too. Absolutely. Sludge, you're right. Just right enough time to be inconvenient explains why I was in after school most of the time. Yeah. I had a, you know what? I got a little off. Sludge driver. You always thought of school was mostly a form of babysitting so that their parents could participate in the capitalist society and get those 40 hours in. Preschool is like that. In fact, I wouldn't daycare. Let me say daycare is like that. And there is a difference between, say, a preschool and a daycare. One is preparing you for school. The other one's basically babysitting. One requires, highly specialized, highly educated workers, teachers, and the other requires highly educated worker, teachers that get paid less. I want to make a distinction, but I don't. The way it's set up under a capitalist system, right? Everybody's workers, but in the preschool, they get paid better. And then the private preschool, they get paid even way better. But the daycares could be, somebody in your building that is good with kids and wants to bring in 5-6 kids into their house all day or in the morning. It's a different dynamic, and I think part of the reopening too early in New York City, I know for a fact, part of the reopening for schools in the city too early is because so many people needed to, so many companies need their workers to return to work, and they can't do it if both are working and they need those incomes and they don't have any place to put their children. And women are dropping out of the workforce 4-to-1 right now. Women are dropping out of the workforce at a rate 4 times higher, 4-to-1. For every man that drops out, 4 women have dropped out in the last month or so. And it probably extrapolates out. But anyway, we can talk about some of this after this video. But in fact, I think I have a fact sheet on all this. But anyway, welcome to the stream.
That it inspired me to make this video. The reason why teachers think it's normal that they have to spend nights and weekends grading homework is precisely because they had to do that homework when they were in school. It's like we're trapped in some kind of intergenerational hamster wheel.
It's exactly what it is. It's exactly
Part
what it is.
3. Lines in the sand.
As someone who quit teaching because of how much I hated grading, I can tell you with confidence, grading sucks. It takes forever and forces you to draw a whole bunch of arbitrary lines in the sand just to get through each day. Yeah. I remember as a teacher being exhausted by the moral implications of every gray area of grading. Here's a real example from when I was teaching. I had given students a problem that looked something like this. Calculate the distance traveled by a race car in 4 seconds that starts from a stop and accelerates at 5 meters per second squared. So there's an equation that fits very nicely here. D equals 1/2 AT squared plus V0t, or distance equals 1/2 acceleration times time squared plus the initial velocity times time. And if you know this equation, solving the problem is pretty much just plugging in the variables. It requires very little critical thinking about what's actually going on. Which is not to say that the students who are just plugging in the numbers couldn't think about what it actually means, but a correct solution to the problem does not necessarily demonstrate to the teacher a deeper understanding of the concepts behind this equation. So, I had a student with a basic practical understanding of what it means for an object to accelerate, but who didn't know the formula, approach the problem by breaking up the motion of the car into 4 segments, figuring out how fast the car would be going during each of those, and then adding those distances together to get the total distance. Now, with the grading scale that I had been using, this student would get less credit than someone who got the right answer, but may or may not understand how the equation gave them that answer. Quick aside, although the student didn't realize it, there's actually a name for what they came up with. It's called a Riemann sum, and the act of me saying that just now may have granted the student's thought process more legitimacy in your mind. Like, because some German dude from the 1800s had the same idea, you probably subconsciously value that student's approach more now. Anyways, my point is that there are usually several different ways of approaching problems, and this student actually demonstrated some really creative thinking to solve a problem that they couldn't remember the formula for. If we stop limiting ourselves to thinking through the lens of who is right, we can use examples of student thinking as a springboard for class discussion. Like, this could have been a great opportunity to talk about the idea of alternative approaches and estimations when you don't have all the information to solve the problem with exact precision.
Right.
Rather than objectively trying to rank student thought, we could have much more effective discussions if we focused on the situational advantages and limitations of different approaches. Unfortunately, teachers don't really have the ability to ponder this kind of stuff under our current system because they're drowning in grading. Like,
it's like everything that sucks in this world can be traced back to this fucking system. Well, not everything. Almost everything.
This would happen to me every day as a teacher. I would spend 20 minutes contemplating the moral implications of how I was going about grading a particular question on one student's test, and meanwhile, I have 100 other tests I need to grade. It's simply impossible for teachers to give this kind of thought to each response, so we end up drawing arbitrary lines in the sand that say things like, half a point for getting the right number, half a point for having the right units, 1 point for the right equation. It's nonsense. And yeah, teachers try to develop ever more advanced grading systems that are capable of taking into account alternative approaches, but as long as we're trying to condense student learning into letter grades, someone is making decisions about what constitutes a higher grade than others. In some ways, it kind of reminds me of how liberals try to regulate away capitalism's problems.
Oh my god. All right, I want to hear this. I want to hear this again, right? Yeah, I want to hear this. I have not watched this whole thing. I only watched the first few minutes, and I thought, yeah, we're gonna see this.
In both kind of what constitutes to letter grades, someone is making decisions about what constitutes a higher grade than others. In some ways, it kind of reminds me of how liberals try to regulate away capitalism's problems. In both situations, society ends up chasing its tail trying to fix every problem with an unavoidably flawed system rather than just dismantling it.
Boom. Oh, this one gets a sub. This one gets a sub from Pinko the Bear. And a notification button. I'm going to smash that notification bell. I never want to miss an episode when it drops. I like this. I like this channel.
Part 4. Grading is psychologically damaging.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Grading does immense psychological harm. A 2020 study from the journal Learning and Individual Differences found a direct relationship between self-esteem and math grades. That is, students with higher grades in math tended to have a higher self-esteem and vice versa. When some students get lower grades than others, it signals to them that they are less intelligent, less hardworking, and less valuable than their peers. Grading sows the seeds of capitalism within us by teaching us to tie our self-worth to an abstract notion of productivity that's defined by an external power. If someone has internalized that they are a D student, they're less likely to question the crummy wages they'll be making under capitalism. Conversely, if someone has internalized that they are an A student, they're not likely to question the ways that the system might have benefited them if they become wealthy. Grading, like capitalism, is a system that sells personal responsibility as the solution to every problem, and in doing so, it erases all of the invisible barriers that students face. When a student gets a bad grade, the only thing that our system can say is, well, guess you didn't try hard enough.
Part 5. School doesn't have to suck.
Amen.
What if we abolished grading?
You know, there are places that have done that.
Now, I'm not saying that we should stop giving students feedback on their work. Feedback is necessary for growth, but that feedback should be a dialogue. Our current system just says, you did this wrong, do it better next time. It doesn't investigate what made it difficult for the student to do the task that was assigned and work to address those barriers. And it's worth noting that the dialogue about learning should flow both ways between students and teachers. Under our current system, students are given very little ability to provide their teachers with feedback.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Like, I'm planning on making another video at some point about how schools could be more democratic, but for now I'll just say that the quality of their learning is being limited by the one-way nature of grading. When a student says, I'm bored, that's valuable information for the teacher. It means that something's not working, and the teacher probably needs to try another approach. If students had more opportunities to share their thoughts and feelings with teachers, the quality of instruction they would receive would increase, and they'd be more invested in their education. We've actually seen these kinds of dialogues happen on a small scale already, with some districts moving towards student-led parent-teacher conferences. In these cases, students are given the opportunity to center the dialogue on what's going on for them and how they feel about how things have been going in class. It's kind of awesome. If you're interested in learning more about that, I put a link in the description.
Good.
So now, you might look at this and think, well, yeah, that all sounds great, but how on earth are teachers going to have enough time for this kind of back and forth personalized feedback and instruction every day?
Revolution first, and then we'll restructure the society and make it, livable, inhabitable, make it flourish. Just saying.
And yeah, you're right.
That'd be a great video game. After your successful revolution, then you could rebuild the society too, out of the ashes of the old. Not the ashes, out of the what's the term? Out of the shell of the old. We'll build the new. Everyone in your what? What happened? Smashing everyone in your newspaper said the students were communists and anarchists, even though the protest was peaceful and lasted only for an hour, and the principal gave them permission to protest. Are you a teacher? Are you an educator? Smashing. The teachers at the teachers at the students, the teachers at and students at both schools were of similar quality. And the only real determinant from my experience of interacting with all of these people is the existence of the school itself. Hi, Rossio. Welcome. Arthur P4. Arthur P4. You made a nickname. You have joined the Twitchesphere. Can we give it up for Arthur P4 for coming over from Facebook? Saw the Facebook notification over at Punks for Progress at the page, Punks for Progress, and came over here. Nice. Appreciate that. So everybody be comradely. And welcome Arthur. P for P, if that's your real name. Clap. All right, we're gonna get through this and just here we go.
That would take a lot of time. Our system is not built in a way that is conducive to that. We need to restructure our schools with way smaller class sizes so that teachers and students can actually engage in personalized learning. And please don't tell me that we can't afford this, because that's just straight up false.
Straight up bullshit.
I think what upsets me more than anything else is the way that
fresh and
our
clean
education system stifles student curiosity. Grading teaches students to compare themselves to one another and seek extrinsic rewards for learning, rather than teaching them to develop a deep appreciation for the act of learning itself.
Extrinsic, everyone.
Like, it's sad that school is made to be such a miserable place for students. Think about the potential that school has. Imagine if there was somewhere you could go for 7 hours a day where you just got to be social with your friends, relax, hang out, and learn about things you're curious about that are relevant to your life. That would be amazing.
Right.
And I really do think that it would be possible if we could just get over this weird hang-up we have where we feel the need to rank students against one another.
Conclusion.
I think 100 years from now, provided human life still exists, people will be able to look back on the practice of grading with horror and clarity, seeing it for what it is. A system designed to prime us for the injustices of capitalism. Grading lays the groundwork for capitalism by teaching students to think that the only reason that people would ever do work is for personal reward, see a never-ending stream of work as healthy and normal.
No fucking way.
Believe that people can be sorted into objective hierarchies, and internalize where they belong within those hierarchies.
Right.
So if we want to dismantle capitalism and replace it with a more just system that's devoid of hierarchies and where every human life has value, I think abolishing grading is a step we need to take.
Nice. I've never seen this YouTube channel before. And the algorithms of the more and more I use YouTube, it's getting better. I'm also more conscious. One of the things that I don't do anymore, I don't let it pick for me. When I watch something, I don't let it roll into the next. I consciously choose every single thing that I watch. And I don't want to be at the mercy. But it does give me choices, and so I'm finding it gets better and better. The channel we just watched only has 3 videos from a month ago. Okay, right. ZZ Fly, welcome. Nice to have you here. So far. So anyway, so that's the that's kind of part of the curated content that is worth knowing about. Is worth checking out. So there's a couple things that I wanted to just pull up straight from my Facebook page. Because yes, because here, speaking of algorithms, this is what I wanted to talk about here in a minute, but not right now, so I'll take that off. First of all, let's do the right thing, shall we? Let's do the right thing. Let's go to the square cam. Boom. There's the square cam with the borders. Oh yeah, it's framed like this. Okay. So welcome to the stream. I'm pretty mellow tonight. I wanted to play some Guillotine Truck and get into some really play some hardcore kind of grindcore new art, but there's a lot of clashing Proud Boys and Antifa in it, and the terms of service have been updated, and there's no need to push that. I can put links. So, boy, he said a lot. Talk about but studying is things that are actually relevant to your life, and yeah, one of the things that they do is the public school system is it's not here to teach kids how to think, and it's here to teach kids how to work in the capitalist system, work within the framework. So the school bells ringing, right? Oh, when the bell rings, it's time to do this. When the bell rings, it's time to do that. That mimics the assembly line bells or whistles, right? Attendance and clocks and all this. Anyway, there's my wife, and well, every educator, not every, but a lot of educators, most educators could talk about this at length. Just way better than I can. And I think this cat that we just watched said it way better than I can in trying to repeat the stuff. Optics is a game. Oh, going back, yeah, optics is a game for liberals in that last piece. I should probably just check up with Kat. I make these notes, right? And I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that a little bit. But then, I think the moment passes, and unless there's a two-way discussion or a three-way discussion on a panel with guests, all I'm doing is kind of recapping and expanding on what the tuber just said. So I think I'll skip a lot of that. But yeah, it's been active chat so far tonight, and I appreciate that. Math pedagogy is terrible, but math is relevant. Pedagogy is always one of those words that I have a little bit of problem with in remembering or grasping what it really means, right? And does it only have one? Like Paulo Freire has the book Pedagogy of the Oppressed, right? Very, very important book. They even it's sitting on our shelf in there. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. That's just one of those words. Oh, what was the $10 word he used? Extrinsic or extrinsic. Never heard that word. Don't know that word. Yeah. That's a huge book in a lot of people's. Like I flipped through it and read a little bit here and read a little bit there, but it's been years, and I literally don't remember what it like. But I know that it's on the list of, oh yeah, that's supposed to be a really great book, and it's in our bedroom. It's right there on the shelf, on one of the shelves. But I haven't been back. I just realized I still have my mic queued up. I still have it set up from when I was doing that weird AMSR kind of thing the other night. That was so much fun if you were here. It was the night that Trump got COVID. So it was like three nights ago, when Trump got COVID, and the Chinese were celebrating Autumn Moon and the 71st anniversary of the People's Republic of China. So we were watching Chinese TV and watching the festival, the Autumn Festival, the lights and the dual celebration. Actually, it turned into a triple celebration. We had the Triple Crown. Oh, were you here for that? Such? Yeah, it was a great night. We had a Triple Crown. the world got the anniversary of China. The world got of the People's Republic of China. The world got full moon, autumn moon, and the world got to see Trump with his COVID. Boy, I looked at some. Did y'all see him on the balcony? He got out of he escaped from Walter Reed. Escape from somebody's already writing a screenplay. Escape from Walter Reed. The untold story. If you're a writer out there, if you're creative, escape from Walter Reed. Trump, man, he looks like he's on a lot of drugs. But when you're the doctor, when you're the staff, and the president says, "I'm leaving. You can't stop me. What are you going to do?" My Secret Service guy will shoot you. Like, I don't know that he said that, right? But he's the president. If he wants to leave, he can leave, right? Who's going to stop him? I wonder how hard. Real talk. I wonder how hard the staff, hell, his inner circle, some of them, I wonder how hard people tried to keep him at the hospital. You know there's people working there that just absolutely despise this man for good cause and would love to help him just, trip, fumble, stumble, fall, die, etc. So anyway, just some things that are I'm sure they have a hospital in the White House, right? 16 floors down in the basement. Who knows where it is? And bowling alley, theaters, all that kind of stuff, right? I don't know how many ways in and out. The labyrinth used to be a swamp, fucking swamp. Margaret Kimberly has a great chapter. When did they build that? They built it. Who was the first president in it? Was it Jefferson? So our third president? I think Jefferson was the first president to live there. But it was formerly a swamp, built, of course, by slave labor. Anyway, history lesson. Anybody? No, you didn't come here for that. It would be interesting if I could get if I could get my wife to come on and talk about. Now there's no way, not going to happen. Norman Wildberger has a really good YouTube videos on redoing the foundations of math without idealism / Platonism, Plato, right? I don't know about Platonism. I don't know, but idealism, yes, I get that. Listen, again, the personal is the political. I've had plenty of discussions that I thought were just personal discussions with her about situations about education or about this or about that, about logic, about math, about a lot of things. And she has changed my mind several times. And a lot of it comes down to that the whole structure of the base of whatever subject we were talking about, logic, how logic is taught. Like, it's made by the patriarchy, enforced by the patriarchy, guaranteed by the patriarchy. And that there are different ways to arrive at the same conclusion, right? So we've had some really great discussions, and I've come away very changed on a lot of the things that I used to think were just absolutely true. Hola. Kool-Aid Redneck. Say it ain't so. Welcome, Kool-Aid Redneck. I ain't never met a Kool-Aid Redneck. You drinking that Kool-Aid? You drinking that blue Kool-Aid or that red Kool-Aid? And which color red? You drinking that? Why do I think you're from the South? Oh, red. Could be a coal miner with the red bandana. That kind of redneck, right? Could be a communist. Kool-Aid Redneck, right? Could be a communist. It has different connotations depending on where and when you hear it and who you're speaking about. Boy, I get distracted. So, squirrel. Oh. Speaking of squirrels, there's no squirrel here, but I don't know if you remember the other night. The other night when I was in here, and I was just in a pleasant mood, and I was watching the video, and then something went by, and I thought, what the fuck? We got mice. We have mouses in the houses. Mrs. Bear was not pleased. It has been like 5 days now. 3 days since we've seen it. Squirrel. No, exactly. Anyway, mouse in the house had to drill down all these steam pipes that go up in, or is it, you can't see it because I'm blocking the steam pipe and I have it wrapped in red. But there's a plate at the bottom of all these. I know you just want to hear this. Yeah, get 8. We got like 6 mice trap. 6, and they're not traps. They don't. Nobody uses those. Those kind that go whap. You put the cheese on, and like when I was a kid, you like catapults, right? Put the cheese here, and then you set the trap, and it goes snap, and it snaps their neck. Hopefully, nobody's doing that. What they're doing is they're cheese. They're sheets of paper with serious glue. And so the mice walk, and then they walk on the paper, and they get stuck, and they can't get it off. Right. Oh, Mrs. Bear was so upset. Mrs. Bear was freaking out, and the mouse didn't want to sit at her desk because we saw them out. We were laying on the couch watching like Deep Space Nine or something. Deep Space Nine, easily my favorite. So we're watching we're only 2.5 seasons in, and we see it go under her desk, like across the room. Anyway, so there's a bunch of these glue traps all around. I don't want to come out and find I don't want to find out there's a dead mouse. I am hoping. Thank you for that, for Arthur. Thank you for that link. I'd like to know more about this. Maybe I will mark it for later. But I have a bunch of stuff that I want to get to. One of the things that I want to get to is
through wage labor,
shush. One of the things I wanted to get to is this, but only for a half a second. I want to find the thumbnail. Oh, I see. It's not in the beginning. Yeah, we're not going to watch this. But I have a Noam Chomsky, right? So there's a thumbnail with David Graeber holding a Noam Chomsky. I'm like, are you kidding me? There he is. It's right here. I don't know if you can see that, where it says "Against Rentier Capitalism," Graeber and Hudson, and he's holding a Noam. My Noam Chomsky is better looking because it's been to Burning Man and it's been painted up a couple of times. So I don't know. Boy, I am all about the side. I can't do the linear thing tonight, can I? Speaking of Paolo, holy shit. Speaking of Paolo, this is the benefit of having more stuff lined up than you can possibly use. We were just talking about Paolo. The marks. Do you see this where it says the marks? Let's make it bigger. The Marx. This is what I want to watch next. Marxism after Marx, critical consciousness, and the pedagogy of the oppressed. And it's 10 minutes, 11 minutes with credits. I haven't seen it. But with a name like that, I'm guessing it's going to be great. And we'll do that in just a second. Oh, I forgot to change when we get a follow. I got to change that. Anyway, all right. So let's check this out. I think this is going to be fun. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. Let's hear this talk. It'll be great. Yay!
Paulo Freire's seminal work, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, radically altered the way many people think about education. For the left, it continues to be a guiding text on politicization and the development of critical thinking. Though one video is incapable of doing Freire's ideas justice, we will nevertheless take the time to look over some of the major concepts Freire contributed in his brief but powerful analysis of education and class consciousness.
Good on you.
To begin
Thank you for
with,
coming.
let's reflect on the concept of conscientização. Conscientização refers to learning to perceive social, political, and economic contradictions, and to take action against the oppressive elements of reality. Sometimes translated as critical consciousness in English, the central concept reflects Freire's insistence on the interconnectedness of theory and practice. Developing critical consciousness for Freire is not just about learning how to ask the right questions. It is equally about applying one's findings to alter material and social circumstances. Naturally, achieving critical consciousness and facilitating its development in others is one of the primary focuses, if not the primary focus, of revolutionary movements. It is no coincidence that this primary focus is also among the most difficult tasks to accomplish. The path to critical consciousness is necessarily emancipatory, which carries a number of meanings. First, it means that critical consciousness cannot be imparted from one individual to another as a unidirectional and pseudo-charitable act. It also means that the individual working to develop critical consciousness must actively want to engage in an emancipatory practice.
Nice.
But this can be challenging because, as Freire writes, freedom can be a daunting concept. At the heart of Freire's argument is the idea of liberation as a humanizing process. This establishes a clear goal for humanity, a narrative of the human struggle for freedom. Those social forces that limit or regress the struggle for emancipation are characterized by Freire as dehumanizing. What is especially interesting in Freire's perspective is that the act of oppression is dehumanizing not only for the oppressed, but for the oppressors. In oppressing others, the oppressors engender in themselves violence, which strips them of their humanity. The great humanistic and historical task of the oppressed is then to liberate themselves and the oppressors as well. Oppressive social formation...
Just for the record, if you're seeing me like chuckle and smile and nod my head, sometimes it's not because of what I'm hearing, it's because I'm catching up with chat. And I love to chat, but I want to hear this.
Are powerful not only in their capacity to physically subjugate the oppressed. They are also powerful because they condition and shape the psyche of both the oppressors and the oppressed. This is manifested in the oppressed in their attempts at emancipation. Freire writes that the very structure of their thought has been conditioned by the contradictions of the concrete, existential situation by which they were shaped. Their ideal is to be men, but for them, to be men is to be oppressors. Implicitly, even the oppressed value oppression, because it's all they know. It's their lived experience. Breaking free of this mode of thinking is one of the obstacles in achieving emancipation. The oppressed suffer from the duality which has established itself in their innermost being. They discover that without freedom they cannot exist authentically, yet although they desire authentic existence, they fear it. They are at one and at the same time themselves and the oppressor whose consciousness they have internalized. This is where Freire introduces the so-called pedagogy of the oppressed.
Here we go.
Pedagogy, which refers to the theory and practice of teaching must break the duality of the oppressed and deliver critical consciousness.
Master and slave dialectic. Yeah. Teacher-student dialectic. But yeah.
But it cannot authentically do so without being developed with, not for, the oppressed. In other words, critical consciousness cannot be dictated from one person to another. In other words, critical consciousness cannot be dictated from one person to another. What is needed is a critical pedagogy, one that departs from the socially ingrained oppressor-oppressed dynamic. Freire recognizes that the way we impart knowledge is very much a reflection of the top-down social relations of an oppressive society.
Yeah.
He calls the conventional method of teaching the banking concept of education.
Exactly.
In this method, there are clearly defined
trash.
Teacher and student roles. The teacher is seen as holding all of the knowledge, and throughout a series of lessons deposits this knowledge into the student as if depositing something into a bank. The teacher is the depositor, while the student is the receiver. The student is...
I want this channel eventually. I mean, maybe tonight, but I want this channel to be not like the banking concept, but I want it to be more dialectical. I want it to go back. I want to learn from you, and I want you to learn from me, and we can all learn from whatever content that we deem worthy to watch together. Does that make sense? That's really, I think, the thinking behind my approach as I work it out in my head. I've been winging it, and I'm always going to be winging it, but that's what's going on here.
Is assumed to hold no knowledge of their own. Freire elaborates on this, saying, "It is not surprising that the banking concept of education regards men as adaptable, manageable beings. The more students work at storing the deposits entrusted to them, the less they develop the critical consciousness which would result from their intervention in the world as transformers of that world."
So, Kool-Aid Redneck. As a general rule here, if I'm excited about something, or like, oh, this is short, and we're going to watch something, have a great time in chat, talk to each other. I want to stop doing what I'm doing right now, but I haven't quite worked out how much of it to do and not to do. Stop it, address chat, keep it going again. And so good faith questions are always great around here. And we can learn from each other by speaking with each other about what we believe and why, and what our evidence is, and all of that stuff. But what we're doing right now, listening to this description of this book, this concept, I think it's really important. And we need less of the banking concept of education. But that's a capitalist type thought process where you're trying to tell them what to think, tell them what to do, how to prepare for a job, rather than the teacher and the students working together, and each, obviously the students learning more, but also the teacher learning from the students, how to improve teaching, how to reach kids better. And the kids they're not empty vessels. The really small ones are not. They're still working it out. Like, what does it mean? Oh, go stand in line. Well, what does it mean to stand in line? What is a line? Go sit down on the blue square. Well, what is blue? And what is a square? They know that you want them to do something. They're 2 years old, 2.5, whatever, preschool I'm talking about. But anyway, so the banking concept of education is no bueno, in my view and my wife's view, and a lot of early childhood educators' views.
The more completely they accept the passive role imposed on them, the more they tend simply to adapt to the world as it is, and to the fragmented view of reality deposited in them.
Right.
Freire challenges the educational method with what he calls libertarian education. He argues that education must begin with the solution of the teacher-student contradiction, by reconciling the poles of the contradiction so that both are simultaneously teachers and students.
There you go.
Problem-posing education, which Freire uses somewhat interchangeably with libertarian education, breaks with the vertical pattern characteristic of banking education. To begin with, problem-posing education acknowledges that learning occurs collectively, that both the educator and the student are learning and teaching simultaneously. In this sense, both are active, and neither is passive in the learning process. Problem-posing education also asserts that the student is not an empty bank waiting to be filled, but a holder of knowledge as well. Freire draws on his experience of collective learning in Latin America, where revolutionary activists went out into communities to practice libertarian education. Instead of arriving with a suitcase full of jargon and didactic rhetoric, The educators carefully studied the communities. Learning sessions were driven by the community members who remarked on the real problems and observations accumulated through their lived experiences. The role of the educators was to eventually facilitate these discussions by posing problems, hence the term problem-posing education. The problems helped frame the discourse and facilitated a critical evaluation of the topic at hand. This was neither a smooth nor perfect process. Members of the community were often hesitant to make assertive claims due to their own insecurities. Having internalized the role of empty receivers, many were cautious and instinctively waited on the facilitator to deposit information. Overtly political topics were touchy as well. The learners found that, in not having engaged their creative capacities to think beyond the confines of their socio-political realities, it was difficult to even begin. Successful collective learning included what Freire calls thematic investigations and perpetual decoding. In short, the group deconstructed the world around them and meditated on each element together. This continuous dialogue demonstrated the horizontality of libertarian education, in contrast with the banking model.
I'm sorry, I did not really understand that.
The horizontality around them and perpetual decoding. Collective realities, it was difficult to even begin.
Here we go.
Successful collective learning included what Freire calls thematic investigations and perpetual decoding. In short, the group deconstructed the world around them and meditated on each element together. This continuous dialogue demonstrated the horizontality of libertarian education, in contrast with the banking model.
Nice.
Dialogue is paramount in Freire's critical pedagogy. Dialogical interaction between the educator and the people stood in contrast to the anti-dialogics exemplified in the banking model. Apart from its inherent fluidity and interconnectivity, Freire distinguished dialogics from anti-dialogics in its manifestation of the unity of theory and practice.
Ooh. Ooh.
As Freire put it, the sacrifice of action is verbalism, whereas the sacrifice of reflection is activism.
Nice.
Libertarian education, being dialogical in nature, must embrace both thought and action. Dialogical activity seeks transformation of the world and reflects that objective in its deconstruction of the vertical relationship in the conventional method of learning.
Nice.
By contrast, anti-dialogical activity implicitly, and at times explicitly, rejects transformative projects or at least limits them.
I'm really digging this. I don't know if we want to talk more about it afterwards or move on to the next thing, but I hope y'all like this kind of stuff.
Freire describes the theory of oppressive action as anti-dialogical. The oppressors are concerned with various means by which to subjugate the oppressed. Among these are conquest, divide and rule, manipulation, and cultural invasion. Freire argues that once a situation of oppression has been initiated, anti-dialogue becomes indispensable to its preservation. The oppressors use a variety of ideological tools, many of which we are familiar with, to ensure that they maintain the social hierarchy. Freire gives a list of some of the myths that the oppressors deposit into society to legitimize and sanctify oppression. The myth that the oppressive order is a free society. The myth that all persons are free to work where they wish. That if they don't like their boss, they can leave him and look for another job. The myth that this order respects human rights and is therefore worth of esteem. The myth that anyone who is industrious can become an entrepreneur. Worse yet, the myth that the street vendor is as much an entrepreneur as the owner of a large factory.
Oh my God, I've
heard that before. The myth of private property as fundamental to personal human development, as long as oppressors are the only true human beings. The myth of the industriousness of the oppressors and the laziness and the dishonesty of the oppressed.
Wow.
As well as the myth of the natural inferiority of the latter and the superiority of the former.
I would like to see all of these laid out in a graphic. I bet it would make a great graphic meme thing.
Freire's work shines a light on several problems for the contemporary left. The first is the absence of humility as a fundamental element of dialogical action. Libertarian education requires that knowledge is not directed at people, but rather developed with them. In this sense, the question of converting the masses to correct ideology are misguided and cling, in Freire's terms, to the anti-dialogical arrogance of the banker clerk.
This is another way to put this. Is I have friends and allies and comrades. I have people in my circles in life over the years, and I've been one of these people that would really the solution to our problems is, education. If people only knew about this, that, and the other thing. If they just read the bread book Yeah, I was one of those guys. If they just Googled Murray. But I believe that's what he's getting at here. That's not how this shit works.
Developing critical consciousness requires a collective and horizontal commitment, a dialogue that may be facilitated by the educator, but not in any capacity dictated. Challenging the banking method of education goes beyond interacting with the people. Even internally, many on the left enter discourse with others with the intention of conversion or persuasion.
Bingo.
Both interlocutors fashion themselves as the teachers, wishing to impart their truth.
Yeah, and so this is a really good reminder. So if you're in the chat and you in your daily life, when you find somebody that doesn't seem to know what you know, and you want to teach it to them, don't do what I do a lot. Finger wave and scold and how do you not know that and all that shit. All is like unhelpful, right? I'm guilty of it. I try to do it less and less. I'm totally guilty of doing that in my lifetime. I'm sure I've done it this week on stream, and I'll try not to. We should have a code word. When Pinko gets preachy, we say something like swordfish. We say the password. And then I know that I'm getting preachy, but not everyone else. Only the mods know for sure. The mods say, well, Pinko's getting preachy. Or the regulars, Pinko's getting preachy. And you can hit let me know. Just kind of subtly. So I can dial it back and we can have a dialogue instead of a top-down banking model. Just saying.
Rarely do both individuals take on the teacher-student role and become learners concurrently. In beginning to practice the elements of libertarian education internally and in developing dialogical principles of action, the left may eventually teach itself how to help generate critical consciousness beyond its confines. Freire is abundantly clear in warning us that even a revolutionary claiming to be aligned with the people may regress towards or preserve anti-dialogical tendencies.
Of course.
A revolutionary theory of action, Freire says, can only be built through the encounter of the people with the revolutionary leaders, based on dialogically derived praxis. That brings us to the end of this video. Thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to everyone who continues to support this project on Patreon and beyond.
Nice. The Marxist Project. I think is this out of the UK? Like, did we watch something by this outfit, and then it kind of took a turn into the Trotskyist path, or was that a different? But this was great. I really enjoyed this one. I don't know. I hope y'all did too. Sometimes, like, these are the kind of things you could watch 2 and 3 and 4 times. I mean, that's just a little bit of the tippity of the iceberg, right? All of that can be fleshed out. All of that can be talked about. He did sound like a USer. And he did. Do I think the society could withstand? No, this model called capitalism, society cannot stand it at all. It's literally unraveling in front of your face in real time. Do you see what I did there? Oh, not with the camera. In answering your question. I'm pretty sure you didn't mean this society as in capitalist society. Right? You didn't mean capitalist society. Yeah, do I think our society could actually withstand this model being socialism, or are kids too spoiled because parents are fundamentally soft? I don't know. That's kind of a real broad statement. on the education front, we won't know until we get rid of capitalism, and then we have an opportunity to build the society that we would like out of the shell of the old. And even then, there will be constraints in the beginning. But on the education front, whatever kind of education is created, whatever it still exists within this dictatorship of capital and all that entails, right? So there are educators all over this country who are socialist and communist. They don't say so, but they are. There's a lot of people that don't say so. They find a way to not be out, so to speak, because it's fairly dangerous to be out as a communist. I mean, I am. I am. But not everybody feels comfortable being out as a communist, and that's their choice, right? So I want to circle back. Oh no, instead of circling back, I want to do this. This is really disturbing. The government, speaking of it being dangerous to be a communist, it just got a whole lot more dangerous. Have you seen this little bit of news? It's disgusting. Hang on, I got to move this so we can read it all. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service has issued guidance regarding the inadmissibility based on membership in a totalitarian party. This is how fucked up our government is. It's 2020. I mean, we already went through the whole McCarthy era, McCarthyism, Red Scare, and all that. Like, this shit is back. This shit is back. And it's going to be really bad. So this just came out a couple days ago. Fucking government issued a policy guidance basically making it impossible for anyone who wants to come into this country, if they've got an affiliation with a or the Communist Party or any other totalitarian party, because capitalism isn't totalitarian. Because we got Trump and what's the other guy? Biden? Really? Those are our choices? Okay. Anyway, membership in or affiliation with the Communist Party or any other totalitarian party is inconsistent and incompatible with the naturalization oath of allegiance to the United States of America, which includes pledging to support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States. Well, I got news for these assholes that wrote and passed this manual. If you open up the fucking Constitution, nowhere will you find anything in there that says anything about how the economy is to be organized, how the society is to be organized. There's nowhere in there that it says we have to have profit system. 0 places in the Constitution saying we have to have capitalism. 0 places. 0. How many? How many places in the Constitution? Man, I could beat this to death, but Jesus fucking Christ, people. Not you people, those people. These government fucks. The new policy manual section provides guidance on how to adjudicate inadmissibility, how to legally tell people, hey, fuck off. You can't come to the United States because, we don't like your political views. We don't like it that you don't want to work 12 hours a day with no health care and die from a preventable disease. we don't like it if you want, not to be saddled with $150,000 in student debt for getting a degree that pays you $60,000. Anyway, we don't like it if you want to come here and then vote for people who don't want to go to war endlessly. This is so absurd, but it's a real thing that really happened, and it's going to be happening more and more in the future. And it's starting here, saying, well, people that have ever, been to a socialist meeting, hell, in England, a person that belongs to a Trotskyist party in England isn't going to be able to move here because they belong to a totalitarian party. The fuck? And they're the ones that want to vote their way to every revolution. Well, we're going to vote. We're going to vote harder. They don't go around talking about. Anyway, whatever, man. This really pisses me off. And Mrs. Bear was wondering if this is going to affect us, and I said, well, not for the time being. We're here. This is only affecting people coming to the country. We'll see where it goes a couple of years from now, right? I mean, it's going to go to hell. It's going to be so. It's oh God. So I kicked it off with the whole. First, they came for the communists. I didn't speak up because, well, I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out because, I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists because, those trade unionists, if you're in a union, you might as well be a communist. And I did not speak out because, I wasn't in a union. Then they came for the Jews. I didn't speak up. I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me. Actually, there's another passage. This was a copy paste, but there's another passage. Then they came for the Protestant. I don't know, Lutherans. I don't know. There was another one, and then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And that's a poem from Pastor Niemöller. I forgot what was his first name. Not Leonard. Yeah, Leonard. No. Niemöller. I can't think of his name right now. Yeah. Then they came for the journalist. Welcome, Carpe. Good to have you. Little shout out to Carpe. Can we get a oh boy, you're a mod in here. You can shout yourself out. Let's shout out Carpe. Here, let me do that for you. Oh, it won't let me type over here. Hold on. I don't want. Somebody shout out Carpe. I can go over here and do it. Here we go. Oh, did somebody get booted? What happened? What happened? Smashing barrel. I didn't even see that. You'd rather it be killed instead of using glue traps. Yeah, I think there's poison on these glue traps. Deep Space Nine is superior. Yeah, I'm only on season 3. I'm fucking loving it. There have been some bad episodes, but if you get through the bad ones, oh. So what are your beliefs? So I missed a bunch of chat, and now you're seeing me scroll down and look at it. The only actual non-CIA approved socialist stream on Twitch. What, mine? Mine? Yeah. I don't want to be divisive. I just want them to be Marxist-Leninists. That's so true. I mean, it really is true. All right, so now I'm just catching up with chat. Okay, sub-accountable. I believe that. I'm sure they still asked. They never stopped asking people who apply for visas and citizenship if they're affiliated with any communist party. But now it's just an auto no. It's an auto no. Oh, you want a link to that? Sure, buddy. It's on my. I know you rage quit Facebook the other day.
but it's on my Facebook wall. If you want to see this this dealio here. I did do something to my face. I absolutely did. Bingo. I got hair color for men. The gray, and I got it too dark because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this kind of stuff. But the gray it had gotten so spotty. And then I was looking at some highlights, and it looked like I had a big black patch, but like I had forgotten to shave there, and it really was just the gray was all around it in a weird way, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm gonna make it darker, and then of course I made it way too dark, and I've got to wash it out, and yada yada yada, but first they came for the Twitch streamers, but I did not speak up because I am not a stream on Twitch. In a video game. Yeah, I tend not to do that whole in a video game thing anymore. Oh, the other thing I wanted to earlier I was talking about the YouTube algorithms. Let me float this out there. I'm really curious what chat thinks about this thing that I've got floating around in my head. So I've been more and more dissatisfied with my experience on Facebook. It's been great for about 6 years. It's been okay for a few years, and now it's gotten shitty. And it could be that I've changed. I know that I have, but it could be that Facebook has changed, and I know that it has. But I am working harder to maintain better relationships with people with better politics on Facebook than I ever have been, or I was until maybe a year ago. I've kind of given up. But yet they keep siloing me and putting me in a smaller pool of people, giving me more of what they think I want. And here's the deal. Major case in point, which demonstrates to me the diminishing usefulness of Facebook's newsfeed, is that, and this is a true story, this happened today, 13 hours ago. I said 2 out of every 5 posts that I'm being shown are from 1, 2, or 3 days ago, and they're all similar in that the original post by some friends, they're all announcing that Trump has caught the COVID. Like, oh, this just in, Trump got the COVID. I mean, what the actual fuck, Facebook? I spend a lot of time here. I've seen all these posts just like them. You suck so hard, it's a wonder I even log in anymore. Get your shit together, Facebook. Or, and here's where my brain went. Maybe Facebook is actively trying to lose me. Because Facebook has already gotten all the data they need from me. They've literally mined me for so many years. They know exactly what's up with me. And they want me to leave. And the reason, I don't want to get ahead, but there's a reason for they might want me to leave. YouTube's algorithms, on the other hand, YouTube, which I just really started using a lot in the last year or so. I used it before, but actively looking for things and watching a lot of it. Twitch, YouTube has a clue. Twitch seems to understand what I'm into based on my interactions on their platform. TikTok's a hoot, but I'm still pretty new on it. So here's the thing. I'm beginning to think that Facebook doesn't want me here for some reason. I'm beginning to think, so maybe it's really me, and it's not you. It's me, not you. We're going to have to break up. Maybe I'm no longer bringing in enough new data to scrape, to mine, to sell. I'm not bringing in enough new data to my relationship with Facebook. And Facebook is trying to break up with me. But Facebook can't just come out and say it, right? Mark Zuckerberg, you are a coward. Break up with me if that's what you want to do. Just come clean. Say you don't want me anymore. I mean, the way the model works. I mean, and I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know. No, I don't know. No, for sure. But I think there could be a situation where there's certain users cost more than they're worth to the platform. Like in other words, there are good customers and bad customers. Because I don't really believe this. The customer is always right. That's trash. I was in the nightclub business for over 20 years. Now there's a nightclub for every type of customer. But we actively encourage and discouraged different types of customers. They still do. Restaurants to this day still do. Yeah, well, Carpe, I mean, Twitter, I hear. I have it. I use it a little bit, but only to follow a few people, and I only check in once a week or something, so I don't really use it. But man, I used to be hours a day on Facebook, looking to share stories, having conversations, using Facebook as a basis for the old radio show, Pinko Bingo. Right? Oh my God. ZZYN. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Yeah, you find the least reachable people on Facebook. They're so entrenched in their liberalism. Right. Because of the A. Zen. Oh, just Zen. Welcome, Zen. I'm just kind of spitballing here in between content that I was showing. But it seems like more of the users on Facebook, maybe not on the gaming side. They have a gaming, they bought Mixer, but it seems like, it skews older. Welcome to Gen Xers. I have a video that I want to get to tonight about Gen X and millennial and why there is this divide. It's pretty interesting. I saw a little bit of it and I thought, yeah, we're going to listen to this. But let me wrap this up. But it seems like Boomer Book, it's a thing, right? And once you get to a certain age, you're not necessarily going to be all that open to new, to facts, right? You get just very, very entrenched, and people don't generally change. So I got a feeling that maybe they're, I don't know. This is just a thought that maybe they're trying to discourage some. Because I know in the nightclub business, we would actively discourage some people from coming into our club. We know what the law was. We didn't technically, break the law. But they cause such a ruckus, and the chances of fights are so high that, you don't let them in the door. You find a way. It's the collared shirt and all that. And most of it is deeply based in racism. But it's a real thing, right? That happens and has been happening forever in the nightclub business. And I haven't been in it in 20 years, 18 years, something like that. But anyway, I beat that to death. But this is one of those things that I'm like, why does Facebook suck so bad? Because they never used to. They never used to. So I'm liking Twitch. This is fun, and using Discord and stuff like that. Was there something else in the chat before I move on? Oh yeah, when I refresh, I lost the chat. All right, so here we go. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, Boomer. Yeah, Facebook stops showing you updates from your friends in real time. It makes you want to use the site less. I go and I hit refresh, And it's like giving me shit. Oh, Trump's got COVID. I'm like, oh, who's this friend who doesn't watch the news? It's been on for 3 days. And I find out it's somebody that's perfectly, up on everything, but Facebook is just showing me old shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ. There's something going on. There's something going on. Anyway, I'm just having more utility at the other places these days. Under watch later. How the modern world makes us mentally ill. That could be what I watched. Gaming setups that should not exist. Uyghur Autonomous Region, 65th anniversary. What's life like today? What is life like there today? Wow, words are hard tonight. Thought slime. I don't want to do thought slime on here. All right, so yeah, look at me trying to decide what we should check out next. I've only seen a few of these. Why China can build a huge infrastructure project in a magical way. 13 minutes long. I have not seen it. Clearly, I've only seen, you see the red bar at the bottom of it? Clearly, I've only seen 28 seconds. Ha ha ha. But I wanted to get to this tonight. And I'm going to do a little shorter stream tonight. I'm not going to go 4 or 5 in the morning. I have somebody arriving at my doorstep at 11:30 tomorrow in the morning. And so definitely got to be out of here by like 3:30 and unwind and be asleep by 4-ish. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Wow. You missed the intro. Oh well, that was my fault.
Today I have a mission, so I must act fast. Wow! What is this, the future? This is beautiful.
Thought Slime is a bread tuber. Pretty entertaining. And some good takes on some things.
What was I doing? Oh, the mission.
Why China? Wait a second.
God, this place is not even open to the public yet. Stupid! Stupid! What am I gonna do? Oh, my mission.
Oh, does he come on?
God.
Yeah, the eyeballs. Nice. You have a Thought Slime eyeball?
Beijing Daxing International Airport has the world's largest single-building airport terminal. With a total surface area of 1.4 million square meters, it is a comprehensive transport hub combining light rail, intercity railway,
look at that thing,
expressway, and airport. By 2022, the airport is expected to reach a throughput of 45 million passengers. The $12.1 billion mega project proves that China's transport infrastructure is ahead of the world.
I wonder why they can have nice things and we can't. Why can they have nice things and we can't?
The airport is designed as a city hub rather than only like a transportation, like
it's a city hub.
Because it contains a lot of city urban life function into this airport.
The integrated transport hub, aligned with the city clusters identified in the 13th five-year plan, and also with the synergies that are capable of with the proximities of transport networks, create an incredibly strong strategy for the economic development of China.
Welcome. Okay, so Daxing International Airport isn't open to the public quite yet, but I still need to get to Zhengzhou. How am I going to get to Zhengzhou?
I have not seen Trumbo.
Okay, so in the US, I really only have 2 options. But in China, there is a third option. So let's do the math. From
look at the third option.
1.5 hours. 2 2-hour flight.
2 hours.
To Beijing with the short train ride is about 3.5 hours. So, if I were to go by car, about 5.5 hours.
That's from Oklahoma City to Houston.
4.5.
That's Dallas to Houston.
High-speed rail, 4.5. Okay, because it's more comfortable, cheaper, and more relaxing, I'm going to take the train.
Wow.
I got to get to Beijing Xi.
4.5 hours by train. Wi-Fi, comfortable bathrooms.
Make people understand outside world and then try
climate
to connect
control
to the world.
Cheaper.
In China, we have very interesting saying: if you want to be rich, you have to build the road first.
Yeah.
The road system and the railway system is very important because we used to be agriculture society.
Or like 4 hours then if you're North Dallas.
Well, high-speed rail and road networks
Central Houston
are a relatively cost-effective and fast way.
Spent an hour in Houston from the outskirts.
Economic ambitions. Well, I think it makes a fundamental impact and a positive impact on China's economy. Integrated transport networks help the passage of goods and the movement of trade.
I went to UH for a year, but I finished at UT.
Catchment areas for transport, and that inevitably gives a knock-on effect into the economy.
For 4 decades, infrastructure in China has developed by leaps and bounds. Take transport development, for example. Highway length has gone from 120,000 kilometers in 1978 to 4.05 million kilometers in 2018.
That's in my lifetime.
Railway length has gone from 50,000 kilometers in 1978 to 130,000 kilometers in 2018.
From my high school to now.
In 2018, at least 130 million express parcels traveled along China's transport network daily. The annual number of express delivery of physical goods reached 50.7 billion in China, generating over $1 trillion in retail income. China's transport infrastructure development has boosted its miraculous economic growth.
Exactly, Carbe. I think that's why I like playing these kind of things on stream. It's like more people need to see this and understand what's really going on.
Since 2011. They've been building 6,000 miles of motorway every year. 6,000 miles a year.
In our superhighway here, our interstate system built in the 50s.
In Britain, we're doomed. We're doomed.
Doomed.
I think the gap is the West's issue, the rest of the world, not China.
Yeah,
China is answering the difficult questions for modern society going forward. Let me give you some examples. Okay, let's take rail. Shanghai has 675 kilometers of rail. It runs incredibly efficiently. These are incredible figures, and all of it is done with this incredible level of efficiency.
Yeah. China using 30 years to catch up with the world, like a lot of infrastructure improved. Still
they'll be comrades.
Place which
Carpe, they won't be overlords. They'll be comrades.
Still lack of a lot of service getting there, access to there.
Currently, no metros in China operate around the clock throughout the year. Among the world's top 50 busiest airports in 2016, 9 are in China and 16 in the U.S. In China, among its 1.4 billion people, only fewer than 400 million travel by air.
I've been saying 1.25.
Although China's transport infrastructure is continuously expanding, issues still exist in terms of density, average per capita, low efficiency, and unreasonable planning. Take railway, for example. China's total railway length is only second to the US, but its average density per capita still lags largely behind the world average. China still needs to comprehensively develop its transport infrastructure.
It's got to build up the productive forces, so to speak.
Come on! God, so bad.
Come on, man.
How come China has invested so much money in their infrastructure? They've made so many improvements, they've optimized, but whenever you get on the road, you can't get anywhere. I need to get to the train station.
Overacting.
Well, I think in China, last few decades, we already have a very strong top-down system to plan the whole China and then the big cities and then to the province level. But all this big plan, rural area, which nowadays in China is still lack of a lot of infrastructures.
Yeah. Thus the Belt and Road, right?
To make a better life in the countryside. One is like we try to provide road infrastructures as abilities to make people have transportations that can have all the whatever information or like a goods can sell out. But in the same time, we also need to try to see how we can move people out to the city and then provide them better
conditions. Exactly.
You're improving road connections into a rural area. That's not the answer in itself. Once you get that road there, then the community, the society, the development plan at the end of those road networks into the rural areas needs to be sustainable, it needs to be vibrant, it needs to be community-based. And by doing that, then it makes a lot of sense.
I think infrastructure still have a lot of things to do in China. We have a lot of like opportunity to using a centralized the system into like a decentralized system.
China's development.
I just that's just so beautiful. I got to get to the country someday. That is so beautiful. Sorry, I just wanted to look at that.
Doesn't solely rely on its powerful transport arteries.
Electric buses.
Capillary engineering involving streets and rural roads are equally important, particularly in impoverished Midwestern areas.
Beautiful.
Adapting a zip line and building a road may open up the door that lifts the people out of poverty and towards prosperity. In Guizhou, the only Chinese province without a plane, over 20,000 bridges connect traffic in the mountains.
I've seen these.
In 2018,
featured in videos.
2,172 kilometers of rural roads were upgraded or built in Guizhou.
Nice.
Accessibility to the mountainous areas was enhanced and economic growth promoted. Guizhou became the only province in a decade whose GDP grew by over threefold. Excavator production and marketing are closely connected to transport infrastructure development. In 2018, China sold a total of 203,426 excavators, among which the percentage of smaller excavators for farm irrigation grew the most by 27.5%.
Nice.
As China develops large transport infrastructure, it also increases the intensity in developing small-scale transport
that music's a bit much.
That concerns the life of every Chinese.
We need to improve a lot of things, especially in the governance system, so that we can also the market-driven, also the small system.
On TV, on Chinese TV, did you hear that? What he just said? Perfectly allowed to say this. They're not gonna put him in prison for 18 years for saying that or feed him to a dog. That's just
rather than big system only. I think next decades that if we really try to build up a better system that can guiding the investment in the right time, right place.
If you can put a
Wait a minute, is he shitting on what's been going on for the last 15 years? Is he really shitting on what's been going on? Woo. Am I catching that right?
Transport hub in strategic locations,
Look at
which
this.
tie in with the urban clusters, which tie in with the corridors for road and rail that are properly networked across the nation. Then you supergroup some of the main international and domestic airports.
Yeah, Carpe, this is the CGTN is pretty fucking mainstream. They put out tons. You know about it, I'm sure.
That's an incredibly strong formula for a very efficient country. You've got policies for the development of high-speed rail and road and airports, and then clustering the airports. All of this together creates a comprehensive plan. So I think the main issue is to stick to the plan.
If the plan works, stick to the plan, but also test your theory. If you have a theory, you make a plan and test it. If it doesn't work out, change your theory, change your plan, adjust it. I mean, come on, right?
Development is the only way forward. Speeding up infrastructure construction, thoroughly executing new development ideas, and building a modern economy are necessary. Apart from the conventional infrastructure such as transport,
thank you for the follow.
Energy sources, and
Appreciate
water
it.
conservancy,
I'm here most
China
nights.
has been striving to achieve new growth points in new infrastructure such as 5G AI.
Just I'm here most nights, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Fridays are hit and miss. Saturday, Sunday, not so much. That's kind of Mrs. Bear night.
Industrial internet and fiber optic communication. By the end of August 2018,
look at them putting that bridge down.
Trans-Eurasia Logistics, which connects 44 cities in 15 European countries,
Construction
as
is
they travel between
unbelievable.
China, Europe, and the Belt and Road countries, has 65 routes that carry over 11,000 trains, transporting 920,000 goods containers. Supported by its powerful transport infrastructure, China joins hands with the Belt and Road countries and grow together. In the future, China will continue to intensify its investment in different infrastructure development. In general, investment in infrastructure development will increase by 10% in 2019, which will be a key force that continues to drive economic growth.
Yeah, Mrs. Bear nights are good. They're important.
Jeez. What's up? Why are you so hurry?
Why are you in a hurry?
I gotta get to Zhengzhou. There's this big succulent Yellow River fish. I gotta get it for my wife, man.
Do you have mobile stores?
Yeah, of course. Ah, yeah. Duh, God, why didn't I think of that? Yes, online shopping. Hey, Siri.
Okay, his acting is fucking ridiculous. He's annoying. I didn't even think of it because you're a Western douchebag. Oh no, he's not. He's in this, so he's just an actor getting paid. But that just this guy annoys me.
Can you help me?
What's up?
I need to order a big Yellow River fish off of Taobao.
You will receive the Yellow River card from Zhengzhou at 7:30 this evening.
Perfect. See,
Nice.
in China, there are more convenient ways to get what you want than going 600 kilometers by railway. Internet shopping. Online shopping is very developed in China, but it's based on the infrastructure of China. But we'll talk about internet economy.
Smashing. I never thought of that irony. That so many Chinese were here building our railroads. Wow. Yeah. Good point.
Next time. For now, I gotta get back to my wife because there's a fish coming.
I got to get back to my wife because there's a fish coming. They could have done without that little storytelling guy running around the airport. That was a little much for me, but there you go. That's there's so much. Oh, highlights here. So the other night when Trump got the COVID, the story broke like 1:02 a.m. I was on stream and we were watching it was like an hour and a half. Ended up doing this weird AMSR kind of thing just because I thought it would be fun. I don't know if you liked that or not. I had a blast. But I just want to do a short bit here. It's 2 minutes. This is what we were watching for over an hour the other night. And there's a bunch of highlights. They're clips, 60-second clips on my channel now. This is what we were checking out. Just gorgeous. They didn't have the upbeat music. That's been added. They had a guy talking like he was on C-SPAN and the city was this, and it was better than Vegas, right? We can't have nice things because the military, get it? The military and the monetary get together whenever they think it's necessary. Yes, they do. The military and the monetary get together whenever they think it's necessary. So we can't have nice things like China has. Yeah, Kool-Aid, before I came to Twitch, I didn't know anything about AMSR. I've spent less than 30 minutes in AMSR, just kind of like checking it out, going, wow. But it was the tone of the guy on this. Oh, that's so beautiful. So I started talking like this. And then next thing you know, I'm adjusting the microphone and doing crinkly papers. It was a good time. It'll be on my highlight reel. I gotta make one of those one of these days. I have to learn how to edit on the YouTubes. So I can compete with non-compete. See what I did there? Clip that, ship that. I think I liked it better without the disco, without the music. That kind of, yeah. When we watched the slow version, the live slow celebration, it was so dope. So look at that. You can get the app. This is obviously made for U.S. consumption, I guess, right? Or maybe they just switched out a different board and they use the same footage. Don't know. What else we got going on here? Time. Oh, good. Plenty of time. Yeah, how the world makes us mentally ill. Let me just set this up. But I want to check in with y'all. I want to see what the chat's doing over here. I gotta say that just I see there's a little bit about is there a way to make chat bigger on this part? I don't know if there is. Yeah, of course they want to serve up ads. Absolutely. And but they should know me by now. I've been on Facebook over 10 years. I don't buy anything off of Facebook. I literally do not buy anything off of Facebook. And like, so maybe that's why maybe they've looked at me for this long and they're like, this fucking guy. He never spends any money. Never clicks on anything. I have been clicking on sofas and on desks, on computer desks, because I'm going to get a new setup here. Pretty, it's coming. You found a Psychology Today article about why socialism fails. And I suspect it's riddled with Western propaganda designed for people who want to be told things. Yes, the banker form of education. The teacher has the bank has the money and it hands it out. Right? Instead of the teacher filling up the child's empty head. I mean, that's what they do. That's the people want to be told things. But that's the capitalist model, right? We saw that video earlier. Yeah, I don't want to rehash that, but absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, things got. Oh, I see. Must have missed a whole bunch of the stuff here. Yeah, that Hong Kong shit. That the Hong Kong. What is it? The South Monitor? Is it the South China Sea Monitor or something? I don't know. There's one that's pretty reactionary. And then there's several that are reactionary, but yeah, we have to be careful which sources we're listening to. Oh, I want to plug this. I have not plugged this yet, right? I'm excited. Now, if you were here on Thursday or if you looked at the VOD, Thursday there was a one-on-one kind of interview with Larry Holmes, first Secretary of Workers' World. And really, really rich, fascinating discussion. Larry will be back this time, but also with Teresa Gutierrez. And it's going to be about the election. Now, you know, I don't talk about the election on my stream generally. And if I do, we're talking about it from a Marxist Leninist perspective. We're talking about it in a way different way than the liberals, than the Soc Dems, than the Republicans or libertarians. And so I want to encourage everybody to make a point to come here on Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. And we're going to talk about what's being ignored in the debate. It'll be a response to the debate. Larry and Teresa are the featured guests, both leading comrades for the party for a very long time, Larry being the first secretary. It'll be hosted by, not hosted, but chaired by Ezra and Ted. Ted's been on this program. It's not a program. Ted's been on my stream a couple of times. He's in Philly, works in the prison on the prison solidarity committee. But this is going to be really good. And if you don't want to watch it with me in my chat on my stream, if you want to be in the actual Zoom call where you can ask questions of the panel of Larry and Teresa, and maybe and chat to the other people. There should be hundreds of people in this Zoom call, in the audience, but you can register for it. So let me put this whole thing in the chat if it's not happened already. There you go. So I'm really looking forward to this. There's not additional. Usually there's a see more. Here we go. A conversation with Larry Holmes and Teresa Gutierrez as the 2020 election crisis deepens. The question of what is needed for the working class and oppressed to survive COVID capitalism continues to be ignored. I see what they did there. The alliteration. COVID capitalism continues to be ignored. I like that. I love me some alliteration. I do. During the first Republican debate, the constant bickering and interrupting hid the fact that neither campaign made proposals to address the multitude of crises facing working and oppressed people in the United States. We got the COVID-19. We got the unemployment. We got housing crisis. We got healthcare. We got racism. We got police brutality. We got migrant deportations. We got an environmental catastrophe. Imperialist war, the list goes on and on. The inability of either ruling class party to put forward a presidential candidate who meets even a minimal standard of competence. That inability is an expression of the intensifying crisis facing U.S. imperialism. It's a crisis of the whole system. The system is increasingly, I should say, unable to function. This stuff didn't happen when Trump got elected. I mean, this is systemic, right? We all know this in our bones. Even if we don't articulate it well, we know it in our bones. The people who don't know it are the people who are blaming the rank and file, the working class with the red hats and the working class with the blue hats. Don't do that. I mean, a chud is a chud is a chud is a chud, but be careful. But, it's a system, and it teaches people really bad stuff. In such times, the status quo cannot continue. And a drastic move, and this is the thing, a drastic move either further to the right or to the left towards revolutionary socialism is inevitable. We're getting fascism for a long time. or we're going to start building socialism. But we can't stay like, this is unsustainable the way it is now. And they know it. They know it. The ruling class fucking knows it. And that's why they're clamping down. That's why they clamp down. It's been in the process for years, decades. The people who really own and operate and run this country, they know. The billionaires and the killionaires know that sooner or later they have to find a way to keep their system alive. Who knows? Maybe it's killing off a whole bunch of people with COVID. Maybe it's killing off all the superfluous workers in the United States with COVID. Maybe they're not inept. Kill people everywhere for profit. Why wouldn't they kill people here? They've done it consistently ever since they got here. All right. This is why I don't do commercials, because I get off script. All right. Only the organization and the struggle of working and oppressed people can defend and expand democratic rights. Defeat the move towards fascism. Smash racism and lead the way to a revolutionary future, a socialist future. With a society organized to meet the needs of all, then we can have nice things instead of the profits of a few. So yeah, join Workers' World Party leaders this Thursday, October 8th, as we discuss a revolutionary socialist way out of the multitude of crises we face today. All kind of wrapped in the context of what they ignored at the debate, what should have been spoken about, what a healthy society, or one that was trying to get healthy, they would be talking about these things and moving forward on making, the United States a better place instead of what it is. So What is that Biden mix? Watched already. Where's watched already? Show more. I feel like we should look at this silly Biden remix. It's only like 3 minutes long. Have y'all seen this thing, or am I late on it and everybody's already seen it a million times? Oh, these are in order then. Oh, I see. They're not in any order. Oh, this will not stand. Oh, nobody wants to do this, do they? Scroll through with me? Damn. It's the one with Biden and Trump, and it's remixed, and they're arguing, and it's auto-tuned. It's fucking hilarious. Debate remix. Let's just see what we got here. Yeah, here's the deal. It's the first one. It's 4 days ago. Has everybody seen this one already? I think it's hilarious.
No. $1 million. And by the way, Mr. President, wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side
get him, Chris Wallace.
And why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
Look, here's the deal. Tremendous sprouts, and Joe does the circles and has 3 people. Here's the deal.
Callie Brown Bear, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. Lots.
President Trump did
good friends, good comrades.
Would you shut up? Look, here's the deal. I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. Let me shut you down for a second, Judge. He wants to shut down the country. Let me shut you down for a second, Judge. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. I get my time back. You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. He does not have a plan. I know how to do the job. It's the same process.
Oh, Arthur, you got to bounce? Thank you for coming down. This is what we do. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Usually about midnight or 1, but or tonight I came in a little early.
Look, here's the deal. President Trump did a phenomenal job. Come on, man. here's the deal. Everybody knows he's a liar. Fake news.
And Arthur, I have a Discord where I can bring in people and have conversations, like, you know, interview type things.
Subject is 200,000 dead.
The COVID-19.
The
COVID-19.
We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. Maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. Let's see the disinfectant. And a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter. So, did you use the word smart? Don't ever use the word smart with me. Give me a break. Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you. Here's the deal. Tremendous sprouts. And Joe does the circles.
Oh, thanks, Arthur. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yes, he's a fool.
Aaron comes on sometimes.
Did a phenomenal job.
And Radcon. We haven't had Bobby on though.
Where do you? I know you don't. Close your eyes. Remember what those people look like just spewing anti-Semitic bile, accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. But he said we're very fine people on both sides. You call them super predators, African Americans, super predators. What? And you called them worse than that. What? You call them super predators.
Are you willing to condemn white supremacists?
I'm willing to do anything. Do it. Say it. Somebody's
dope.
got to do something about Antifa and the left. This is a left-wing problem. Here's the deal. It's hard to get any word in with this clown. Listen, this is the way it is. Look.
Here's the deal.
President Trump did a phenomenal job. Come on, man.
Here's the deal.
Everybody knows he's a liar. Fake news. They give me bad press. Look, here's the deal. I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. Vote, vote, vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. You have to have your ballot in by November 10th. November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election. Don't tell me about the transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. He has no idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. He's just afraid of counting the votes. You're wrong. You're wrong. It's a fraud, and it's a shame. Look, here's the deal. Tremendous sprouts, and Joe does the circles and has 3 people. Here's the deal.
Yeah, they're both just so sad. But that's what happens when the empire falls apart.
Did a phenomenal job. Will you shut up, man?
Will you shut up, man? Did he say that?
I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't.
That's the end of it. This is the end of this debate.
I hate Chris Wallace.
We're going to leave it
I hate
there.
him too.
To be continued.
Fuck you, Chris Wallace. What the fuck, bruh? What the fuck, bruh? That's the name of this channel. What the fuck, bruh? Ken Copeland's uncircumcised Philistine remix. Oh, God, I bet that's good. Ken Copeland's uncircumcised Philistine remix. It's not political. It would just be for fun. Should we watch that? I don't watch these things, right? Oh, hey, Lasso. Welcome back, Lasso. Nice to have you again. Yeah, that was fun. All right, let's do this other thing. This is what let me just look at chat real quick. All right, here's the deal. I won't be able to go to sleep tonight without hearing it. Here's the deal. All right, so we were going to play this earlier, and I didn't because here's the deal. I went down the road with that other thing. So let's back this up. This I found pretty interesting today. I heard about half of it, and then I had to leave the room. The coddling of the American mind. So I've seen the first half of this, but not the last half. And I was kind of touched. I was moving, kind of touched or moved. I was like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. Oh, I mean, a lot of it I've heard before, but there were some things I hadn't. But anyway, I hope we all like this. Food for thought. Yeah. Dab them if you can. Do what you gotta do. What you gotta do. Do what you wanna do. It's my life. How the modern world makes us
the statistics on how Gen Z differs from the millennials are not good. So the millennials, the oldest ones were like in college when the internet and then social media came out, whereas the youngest ones grew up with the internet. But the cutoff seems to be that Gen Z, if you were born in 1996 or 97, you might have gotten social media from the time you were in middle school. the millennials didn't get it till college or later.
Big difference.
And if you imagine kids growing up and there's all kinds of inputs coming into them, and then suddenly around 2009 to 2011, in that period, we switched the inputs up so that now everyone is hyper connected to their peers, massively sharing information among their peers, and evaluating each other.
Zed, I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Evaluating things. This is a really rapid transformation in the fundamental fabric of socialization. And that, Greg Lukianoff and I, my co-author, that's what we think causes the relatively big shift between Gen Z and the millennials.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one.
It shows up in very high rates of anxiety, depression, self-harm, and suicide.
I didn't know that there was a shift between the two. I just thought it was more people are getting all of that because of the economic conditions. But there's something more going on according to this doctor in this video.
So my point is, this isn't just, hey, they're different from us and I don't like it. It's, hey, they're different from us and they're having problems that they themselves say, wow, we're having problems. And what we find across countries is that there is a big rise, especially for girls. The boys are doing worse too, but the increases for girls are much bigger. And it tends to start around 2012, 2013. But we have a lot of data. This is not just changing diagnostic standards. It's not just, oh, Gen Z is so comfortable talking about it that the reported rates go up. It's not that, because it's also how many kids are admitted to a hospital every year because they cut themselves, and it's also suicide. So we know that this is a real trend, and it's a very alarming trend. So there's a lot of research on how boys and girls' social lives are different, and that's been known for a long time. One of the clearest things is that boys and girls are actually equally aggressive. It's not that boys are aggressive and girls are nice. No, not at all. They're equally aggressive, but boys are kind of socially clueless and physically aggressive. Their aggression is what we think of as bullying, physical bullying. But girls' aggression is relational. Girls are much more socially sophisticated. They have clear representations in their minds of everybody's relationships and how to manipulate them. So girls' aggression is social. When social media comes in, or rather when everyone has an iPhone or smartphone, what do the boys do? They stop punching each other and they join small teams to roam around virtual worlds killing other teams, which is actually fun. It's not particularly harmful. My son does it with his friends. It can get addictive, so you've got to put limits on it. But video games aren't nearly as harmful as we thought, and it's debatable how harmful they are. That's one piece. So that affects the boys. But it doesn't make them depressed. And if you think about it, after you do a video game, you go away and you're not replaying it in your mind like, oh God, if only I had shot him in the head. Like, you're not thinking that, like, you can put it away. But social media is very, very different. So the girls spend a lot more time on social media. They can use it. It can hypercharge their aggression. It gives them the ability to damage other girls' relationships, to spread gossip or rumors or fake photographs, to do it anonymously with full deniability. So now girls can't escape bullying even on the weekends when they're out of school. So it really changes aggression. Also, girls are more sensitive to being left out or excluded. Everyone hates that. But social media lets you know who's where and with whom. And look, they're all having so much fun and I'm not there. So fear of missing out, fear of being left out hits girls harder.
FOMO.
So for a variety of reasons, we think the fact that the girls' rate really begins to shoot up around 2012, 2013 is consistent with the fact that American teenagers and British teenagers really moved online between 2009 and about 2011, 2012. And then right after that, the rates go up. So, I'm very concerned about what social media is doing to political discourse. And places like Twitter are really nasty. I mean, it's a dumpster fire, which is kind of fun to watch sometimes, but I think it's really nasty. Of the main ones that people use, I think Twitter is the most destructive in that way. My wife is on Instagram and she tells me, no, but Instagram's really nice. Like, there's not a lot of
I hear that all the
Instagram.
time. It's nice.
And it turns out that for girls, that actually can be the problem. Not that more nastiness would be better, but what I mean is, if Instagram isn't about like, you're an idiot, you're a moron, if Instagram is, look at my beautiful life, look at my perfect selfie and my hair and my body.
Yeah.
Well, girls have always been more sensitive to social comparison, especially adolescent girls going through puberty, very sensitive to whether they measure up, how people are judging them. And so to be deluged with photos in which your friends look better than you, your friends look better than they do in real life, that puts a lot of pressure. It's very difficult.
I don't know about this. I mean, I think I understand that it's happening, right? But I have an Instagram account. I don't use it. I have very little understanding of it. But I get the point here.
Especially for preteen and young teen girls.
I'm a little behind.
And so in many ways, social media is harder on girls than it is on boys. We can go back to Prometheus here. The story of Prometheus stealing fire from the gods and giving it as a gift to mankind. And obviously fire has done amazing things for us.
Fire is a two-edged sword.
Thank God we have fire, but it also burns down a lot of things. The founders of social media, the ethos of the tech geniuses was really just, let's just, here's an idea, here's a possibility, here's an interesting thing we can do. Let's put it out there. We'll iterate. We'll just do rounds.
You don't know where it's going now.
About where it would go wrong, what harm it would do. There was a professor at Stanford who ran the Persuasive
How could that go
Technology
wrong?
Lab. And there's writing from him in the early days about how, of course, these technologies could be misused, but because we think human nature is good,
Skynet.
we believe that this will give people more possibilities, and if we just connect everyone, it'll be great.
Which movie are they going to talk about?
Human nature is good or
Terminator?
Evil. Human nature is really complicated, and if you put these tools, you hyperconnect people with the ability to spread lies and gossip, a lot of bad stuff happens. So I think there was very little thought about what they were doing. At least when the original scientists split the atom and created nuclear weapons, they were aware of what they were doing.
Brave New World.
They were careful about it.
Brave New
There was
World.
a lot of crime in America in the 70s and 80s, and we let kids out to play. We expected them to learn how to do things themselves. And what's changed over the years is that the world has gotten a lot physically safer. Kids are safer than they've ever been in history. Very little crime. Cars are safer, foods are safer, consumer products are safer.
I hope this is not an argument for not wearing a helmet on your bicycle.
But yet we become far more paranoid because of changes in the media, because we're now more likely to have only one child or two at most. If you have 6 children, you can't overprotect them. You got to kind of just, get out of here, go play in the backyard. So the key to understanding why we've gone wrong and the key to understanding what's happening to Gen Z, I believe, is the concept of anti-fragility. This is the most important idea. I just love this idea. It comes from Nassim Taleb. And so the key idea, and it's so easy to explain, and once people get it, oh my God, why am I treating my kids this way? It's that a lot of things in the world are fragile. And so, glass is fragile, and if you drop it, it breaks, and it doesn't make it better. So we don't give glass to kids, we give them plastic. Plastic is resilient, we say. If the kid drops it, a cup, it doesn't break, but it doesn't get better. And Taleb wanted to know, what's the word for systems or things that get better when you drop them? When you challenge them, you expose them to disorder and threats and chaos, they get stronger. And the immune system is the perfect example.
Okay.
Your immune system has to have threats and challenges and bacteria and dirt, and even parasitic worms, turns out, helps it develop. And if you deprive your kid of that, you're not helping them, you're weakening them. So once you see that kids are anti-fragile, now you can see how our overprotection is so misguided. Kids learn best from experience, not from parental lectures. And the whole
again with the education thing
is supposed to work where the parent provides a secure home base that the kid can come back to if there's danger. But the point of that secure home base is that the kid goes out and explores the world and develops his or her capacities.
Yeah.
All mammals play, all mammals do that. When there's a threat, they come back to
play-based
mom.
education.
When there's not a threat, they're out playing and practicing skills for adulthood.
Play-based education.
And we used to do that in America up until the 1990s. So I'm a social psychologist who studies culture and evolution. We're an evolved species. Our brains were made by a long evolutionary process.
So beautiful.
But we express ourselves in different ways culturally. And whenever I find a pattern repeated across cultures, I lock on to like, wow, that's really cool. This really tells us something important. And initiation rites is one of those. And so the fact that most cultures, in their earlier states at least, had some sort of initiation rites. So they have them for males and often for females. Cultures that have both, they're always more intense for the male, and some have it for male but not for female. Because many cultures believe girls will turn into women automatically.
Naturally.
But boys start off small and weak. They start off being raised by their mothers, and then the men are off doing male stuff. And many cultures believe that unless you do something, a boy doesn't become a man. And so many cultures they'll do rituals that are terrifying, that sort of kill the child, and then the man it comes out of it. So the fact that so many cultures do it, and the fact that fraternities at universities reinvent almost the same rituals.
The hazing?
The fear, the disgust, the humiliation, the physical pain, It does speak to a deep need in male psychology for something like this.
I am going to back this up because I want to hear that again, because I'm not going to gloss over that. I want to make sure I understand what he said.
There is a fact, it comes out of it. So the fact that so many cultures do it, and the fact that fraternities at universities reinvent almost the same rituals, the fear, the disgust, the humiliation, the physical pain, it does speak to a deep need in male psychology for something like this.
But I'm not advocating that we do hazing in college. That can't be worked.
There are cases on campus where somebody got hurt in a snowball fight, so they banned snowball fights for college students. For adults, you're not allowed to have a
zero
snowball
tolerance
fight.
policy bullshit
Are banned at some schools.
Yeah.
You know, water pistol fights.
Agreed.
And it's this paranoid mindset, which, again, the subtitle of our book is How Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure. It may have...
And capitalism is setting up a generation to be impoverished and revolutionary. So clearly this is not a socialist kind of video, but it is a video about what we're seeing here, right? So, okay. Interesting. No mention of capitalism and how that's causing. This is the split between millennial and Gen Z. I never thought about this before.
Have been a good intention.
Do y'all think about these kind of things? I mean, did anybody in the chat think about this, notice this? Is this a subject that gets talked about among Gen Zs or millennials? I'm just curious.
To shut down fraternity initiations. And there are real harms. I don't want to minimize those.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand the psychology of development, especially male development, I think you're gonna produce some unintended consequences. But I think we are paying for it now in the sense of greater fragility. College students in a fraternity have to be a self-governing society. When you get rid of all that, and so kids are not self-governing until they get to college, and then they're not self-governing in college, and then they go into employment. What I'm finding when I talk to business leaders, and I would urge listeners to do this, if you know people who run businesses where they hire young people, ask them how it's working.
How's that working out for you?
And a business person said to me, yeah, I mean, my recent hires, it's like they don't know how to change a light bulb. Like they can't do anything for themselves. And so we are paying for it in that we have deprived Gen Z of millions of learning opportunities. And then we're surprised that they don't know how to function as we expect them to.
Wow.
This video is sponsored by Blinkist. Reading books is great, but I've talked about this many times before.
Yeah, we don't want the commercial. But I'm interested in that. Like, so
read the whole book.
Yeah. I'm not doing like, I was just looking for some credits or something else at the end, but I guess we're not going to see any. I found that kind of interesting. I thought it would be more about, anyway, I didn't know where it was going exactly, but I don't know. Obey your authoritarian leader. Well, yeah, the agenda for education is there, right? Be obedient workers, right? The agenda for social media at its beginning, make money. They didn't know where they're going with all this stuff. But there's unintended consequences, yeah? Right? Unintended consequences. I won't be staying up too much later. Maybe one more quick vid. All right. Maybe this. All right. We did the pedagogy already. Okay. So there's this has zero to do with politics, but I want to. Oh, American reacts to North Korea media. The Comrade Report. It's 21 minutes. Should we do the Comrade Report or something silly? Let's do the Comrade Report. He's on YouTube as well. American reacts to North Korean media by Bay Area 415.
That is Kim Il-sung.
Sorry. I didn't realize I had the volume all the way up. I don't know when this came out. I should probably check. My computer seems a little sluggish. But anyway, usually I wouldn't blink an eye at being on at this time, and I'd do another hour and a half. But I'm good for about another 20 minutes. When this is done, we'll raid out. I'll find somebody to raid us out to. I'm inclined always to go to some of these artists now that I just absolutely love. Mary Amber. Shout out Mary Amber. Shout out Very Handsome Billy. And shout out to Pineapple Hoops. So that's the kind of stuff, like when I get done, like, oh, that's what I want to do for a little while. I'll take you there. But if somebody that's on my list is out, we'll see what happens. I'm going to be quiet now. Enjoy.
Hugging with open arms, Deng Xiaoping.
Let's see if it's worthy.
Really does warm the heart.
Is it worthy?
When you see how far these two countries have gone together.
The Comrade Report.
What is going on, comrades?
What is going on?
Bay Area 415. And before we get into some deep...
It's really Camazotz. I'm telling you, it's Camazotz. It's Camazotz without the furry stuff.
PRK videos, I just have a few updates. First off, I really have to show these statistics on how fast we are actually growing here and how amazing the support has been over the past few weeks. And I have nothing but thanks for you all, comrades. You guys have made this such a great experience for me starting this channel and everything. And these videos really do take a lot of work and research from me and the team, but you all make it all worth it. And I really do appreciate every single kind comment and engagement I get from you all, comrades. So thank you. Special shout out to Daniel Drumble, who said that we are his favorite underrated YouTube channel while speaking to a reporter from CGTN, Jingjing Li. And he's been an awesome person to engage with for all these ideas related to China and everything. So if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to him for some great content. Link to his channel is down in the description. However, despite our rapid growth, I did notice several funky changes happening to our subscriber count, along with several comments saying
we
want to
get to the thing.
Also, there's still an overwhelming majority that watch these videos and haven't subscribed yet. So if you can take a second to just click that subscribe button and that bell, we would all appreciate it here, comrades. With all that said now, today we're going to watch some Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or DPRK, media. As we all know, the DPRK is a socialist country surprise. And after years of intense fighting with the South and Western powers, Korea split into two, the capitalist South and the socialist North. What's important to know is that the peace treaty signed between these two countries is just a truce, and they are being constantly threatened and harassed with invasions and nuclear annihilation. In fact, there's this great documentary called The Propaganda Game, where several citizens attest that if it wasn't for the DPRK's nuclear capabilities, the West may have already invaded the country, and several point to Libya and Iraq as examples for countries that don't have nuclear capabilities.
Absolutely.
Imperialists are still, they didn't throw away their policy, but sanctioning, stifling ours.
상시적인 핵전쟁의 불구름이 떠돌고 있습니다. 대답은 간단합니다. 제국주의자들이 힘으로 압살하려고 하는 조건에서 그 맞받아 물리칠 수 있는 힘을 키우는 길밖에 없습니다.
We are forced. You can understand it when they are organizing a sort of big military campaign,
evil.
And
the axis of
military
evil.
rehearsals every year in front of our nose.
So do you think if you did not have the nuclear weapon, you would have been invaded?
Most probably, yes.
We have to remember how devastating this war was for the Korean people up in the north, especially when we look at these stats over here. And don't even get me started on the genocidal massacres the South Korean government did during these times as well. Whether you support the DPRK or Juche philosophy or
full-throated support.
There are several important elements to understand about their culture and society, especially for Westerners who have been bombarded with absurd mainstream narratives, from unicorns living in North Korea, from believing Kim Jong-un is dead every single 2 weeks. By the way, I'm going to make another recommendation and highly recommend everybody watch this video titled "We Went to North Korea to Get a Haircut" by Boy.
We watched this here, didn't we?
Myth that North Koreans can
Treble, when I first met you, you suggested that. My mod, Treble, folks, if you don't know, Treble is here most nights. Carpe is here a few nights a week as well for a spell, and then does his own stream, or does his own stream first, after. But yeah, we watched that haircut. It's probably in the highlights. I don't know. It was great. Treble, thank you.
Only get 13 state-approved haircuts, but also completely debunking Radio Free Asia's narratives, which are funded by the State Department, and comes out with outrageous news stories like these almost every single month. And I'm really happy that there's a video calling them out on this. With all that said now, let's jump into these videos. Our first video comes from Pong DPRK Daily, an absolutely amazing channel with great DPRK media clips. I highly recommend subscribing to them as well. This video actually is a documentary from loyal citizens of Pyongyang, which describes the horrible pressures the South Korean government puts on North Korean defectors to push the Orwellian narrative about the DPRK. They threaten their family, their livelihoods, to the point where they must dance for this phony narrative or risk hostilities from the South Korean government, like being labeled a spy or even death. I kid you not, a North Korean defector and her son died in their apartment due to starvation, something that is constantly alleged in North Korea, but then inflicted onto these people. The South Korean government has extremely oppressive laws and expectations for these defectors, as we'll soon see here, that push them to the brink and should be considered a crime against humanity. Anyways, this video we'll react to is called DPRK Defector in South Korea. South Koreans are batshit crazy. They don't know the truth about the DPRK. Gotta love that.
We watched that.
Just to give a little background
this guy was
on this
great.
man in particular, he left the DPRK.
So this is a brand new video. I just want to say the Pink of the Bear stream played what he's referencing months ago. So there, Bay Area 415, or is that Camazotz? Under all of that, I don't know.
To work in China, while some misinformed him about going to South Korea with promises of making better money. But now he's stuck in South Korea. He was marked by the South Korean National Intelligence Service, not only because he's a defector, but also because he said the following statements here.
그때는 뭐 그때 상황에서는 북이 뭐 당장 내일 모레 망한다, 어찐다, 뭐 이런 상황들이 막 되고 뭐 그냥 생각으로 내가 솔직하게 이야기할게. 난 집단적으로 미쳤다고 생각했어요, 그때 이 사람. 왜냐하면 북에 대해서 너무도 모르니까. 이제다가 구를 좀 올렸지. 그렇지 않다는 걸로. 니들이 잘못 생각하고 있다. 그리고 김일성 장군은 어떤 사람인지 내가 그래서 북의 말이 너희들이 믿기 싫으면 믿지 마라. 그러면 중국이나 아니면 일본 놈들조차도 김일성 장군에 대해서는 올바로 썼다. 그놈들 간홍 기록이라는 게 있어요. 김일성 장군에 대해서 쓴 게. 근데 이거 맞아 와보니까 가짜 김일성이 뭐요. 일본 놈들 자체도 북의 김일성 장군에 대해서 그대로 그렇게 다 썼거든. 대단한. 와서 느낀 점을 내가 이야기했지. 북에서 가르쳐준 게 다 사실이었다고. 거짓말이 아니었다고.
남한에서
내가 느낀 게 그건 거예요. 북에서는 절대로 거짓말 안 한다. 왜냐? 생각해보자. 거짓말로 지나온 역사를 이렇게 쭉 돌이켜봐도 어느 세계 역사를 우리 놓고 봐도 인민들한테 거짓말한 나라는 오래 못 갔어. 망해요. 인민들을 상대로 거짓말하면.
Wow.
What a concept.
What powerful statements. I realized that what the North taught me about the South was true all along. Nations that have to lie to their people do not last. When you have historical facts and truths that are just right in front of your face, and they are completely manipulated or even ignored by an entire population, there is some serious problems going on in that society and in that culture.
Take a look around
the
United States.
Documentary does an excellent job in showing that maybe it's not the DPRK who are brainwashed, but rather Westerners who are inundated with massive, outrageous stories, to the point where knowledgeable people that come from this country, we are talking so much ignorant BS about. This man living in the South is going to call us batshit crazy.
Nice.
Also, it is just absolutely amazing the kind of pride that this man still has for Kim Il-sung. It's very critical to note how Kim Il-sung is an extremely important figure in shaping the DPRK to what it is today. From developing the Juche philosophy, which is a derivation of Marxism-Leninism that empowers individuals and people to fight for a revolution in an independent manner. Mega simplifying things, however, the philosophy is much deeper than that. To fiercely fight...
You can go to their website and you can read all about it. The government website, the Juche website. I could probably find it, but I'm relaxed.
Against Japanese colonialism and imperialism from the West. He was a revolutionary that passionately fought for his people, finding the Workers' Party of Korea that initiated so many land and economic reforms that helped the people in so many ways. Let's continue.
그 나라 인권은 세계에서 최고요. 아니 미국 같은 나라 보라고. 아까도 우리 이야기했잖아. 미국 집 경찰 옆에서 사람 무서워서
American citizens afraid of their own police because cops look like they're going to pull a gun out any second.
아니 자기 나라 인민이
I mean, your own people, American cops shoot their own people when they look suspicious. Whenever someone goes near their pockets, they get shot, killed. These children are arrested if they don't obey the police, even little girls. Huge cops who look like pigs beat people to a pulp and handcuff them. That's human rights.
Is this guy serious?
Look at comedy.
Oh, wow. Please
thanks,
be
Trev.
still, my red beating communist heart. Wow.
Oh, you're a little over the top. Have a seat, dude.
What human rights does American attempt to uphold when we have cops that beat up everybody to a bloody pulp for reaching into their pockets or just looking suspicious? Also, the gigantic bigoted elements that are within our racist police forces in each municipality.
Bam. Run with it. Run with it.
This guy.
I see what he did there.
Point. I got to calm myself down after that.
Yeah, I guess that's the advantage of doing YouTube, right? You get to edit, and if you don't have a complete script, you can riff on it, and then or you can script it all out, but you can do those quick edits. I just never paid much attention to this kind of stuff before until I started streaming. It's a hoot.
우리는 독재라고 말하잖아요. 프롤레타리아 독재라고, 인민 독재라고. 당연한 게 바뀌잖아요. 헌법이 어떻게 그 사람들 대국가예요. 프롤레타리아라는 게 우리 말하면
says so in the Constitution. The workers dictate everything. Proletariat dictatorship. Government can't do it without the consent of the people. You can't be a leader in the North.
Thank you. Enough said. He said it so proudly too. It's a dictatorship? Of course it's a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship of the proletariat, the people, the workers. You cannot govern without the consent of the workers.
What a concept.
As they dictate everything. This man, this is what happens when you get an education in North Korea. Oh, man, this guy knows what's up. This is one of my favorite interviews involving this subject. This is just incredible. Anyways, our next video is called Free Housing in North Korea from University Professors in Pyongyang to Peasants on the Countryside. As you all know, I actually delayed this very video because there were no captions available for this video, so I wanted to give some special shout outs to ACLEF from Discord for translating the video, along with that translated this video as well. If I missed your transcription for some reason, I really apologize, and I'll give you a special shout out in my next video and Twitter.
进行了探访。8月9号，记者来到金日成，主人家非常热情，因为是工作日， 家中只有主妇。
Oh, they got dictatorship. They won't let him in the house with his shoes on.
88岁的老奶奶。
Yeah, he really is over the top, isn't he? I'm like, okay, it's all right, but I mean, I'm like, I'm also in my head trying to place it and dissect it, and because I'm thinking down the road, like if and when I ever do something like this, I don't know if I will, but it's kind of interesting. This whole, Reverend Aaron that's been on the show, he's been looking at YouTubes for years, and I had no idea how much of this stuff was going on. And he's the one basically got me into looking at things. He made me sit down and listen to this, or sit down and look at that. And hell, we watched. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Good stuff. I'm getting tired, which is good because I got to get up in the morning. We got about maybe another 10 minutes. 15.
客厅的正上方挂有朝鲜前领导人金日成、金正日的画像。
So those pictures, people like to say, "Whoa, they have to put pictures up." Like, in the United States, you can see Jefferson. You see people with Kennedy. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and like I hear all kind of weird accusations by Western white males mostly. But anyway.
厅内的装修颇为讲究，家具家电齐全，有沙发、电视机、音响、组合柜，角落里还放了一架钢琴，用白色的绣花罩布遮盖着。平壤近期天气炎热，主人家打开了空调，室内非常凉爽。
Now, unfortunately, I do not have any timestamps for these translations, but one of the most interesting statements made is as follows. Recently, Pyongyang's weather is very hot. The owner opened up the air conditioner. It's very cool in the room. The wife was very proud introducing the apartment to the reporter. In this house, there lives 4 people, his wife, his mother, and their recently married daughter. The house is 240 square meters, 5 rooms and a living room, including 3 beds, 1 book room, and 1 cloakroom.
2,200 square feet.
This is a huge apartment. And I know what everybody is thinking. This is just a privileged group of people that just have power. They're part of the elites and whatnot, so they have such special treatment. Others outside the capital and the countryside have it worse, right? Well...
平壤近郊为市民供给蔬菜的长泉蔬菜专业合作农场里排列着成片整齐的小楼，陪同的朝方人士表示，这些都是当地农民的住宅。记者来到其中的一个小区，这里坐落着一栋栋蓝色屋顶的瓦房，房顶上安放着太阳能热水器，房前屋后种植有蔬菜，地上摆着收获的玉米。
Here's a translation. At Pyongyang's suburbs, the Changkwon Vegetable Professional Cooperation Farm that provides vegetables for the citizens line up a bunch of tiny, small buildings. Our DPRK companion said these are all the houses of the local farmers.
Oh, they don't.
The reporter
right there. They live right there.
One of the compounds. Here are a set of houses with blue ceilings. On top of the roof, there sits a solar energy water heater. In front of the rear of the houses, there are plantations of vegetables. On the floor, there are grain corns. After the labor at the end of the day, when you come home, you can get a hot water bath.
Nice.
He says he does not envy the city people at all.
Nice.
So we see...
That's one of the things about Burning Man. With all the propane and all the fire and all the different art projects, you could always find some a hot water bath if you knew where to go. Not always, but you'd have to know where to go.
Clearly that these privileges don't just apply to party elites, but all stratuses of people in the DPRK. It's important to note also that this newscast states
That's
that
not me.
all the
He's
furniture, household electricity appliances, the solar energy water heater are all provided by the country, all free of charge. And free furnished housing isn't the only thing they have. They pay no taxes, free healthcare, education, and other perks as well.
Free healthcare.
I would also like to add
free
my
education.
personal story. When I was
no
abroad
taxes.
in Asia, I actually went to a North Korean restaurant called Pyongyang, which was actually ran by the DPRK government. And I must say, contrary to a lot of Western critics, Their service was incredible and on point, and their food was absolutely delicious. I had a ton of slices of beef as well, which reminded me of like a Korean barbecue, for example, with whole cloves of garlic, kimchi, and other things. I would have loved to have some DPRK soju as well, but it was kind of early in the day, but I 100% regret it. By the way, if anybody's interested that I do a food review on these restaurants, let me know, and I will add it to our itinerary when we are in China or in Vietnam. They have restaurants in both locations. All right,
he's doing commercials for restaurants.
Titled, she and his wife attend large group calisthenics and art performances in the DPRK.
My color scheme matches his and the purple chair. How about that? Yeah. They're all being forced to do that. Their families are kidnapped in labor camps if they don't perform. People say the silliest stuff. So beautiful.
Wow. Jeez. Now this is just absolutely just a beautiful display of their alliances between China and the DPRK. First off, their performances are absolutely stunning and awesome. Thousands of people coordinating their every single movement that upholds their traditions and values. By the way, there's a absolutely hilarious video on North Koreans reacting to live K-pop performances, and they just look astounded or not even interested at all.
Oh, I've seen this somewhere else. Huh? The fuck are y'all doing?
I mean, as hilarious as this is, you really have to wonder why they have a stoic reaction. And I wholeheartedly think that it's more in line with the fact that these performances, like K-pop, is a reflection of the degradation entertainment has in a capitalist society and how needlessly misogynistic, extravagant, and exploitative these kinds of performances are.
I got nothing wrong with extravagant, but yeah, the other things, yeah. I mean, that's capitalism.
Is a great video that actually speaks about the K-pop industry and how extremely exploitative it is for the singers to have their lives sold through incredibly life-controlling contracts.
Commodify the whole
from not being able to
life.
text people to not even having a boyfriend or anything like that in these contracts. It's a very oppressive system that they have there for K-pop. And one of the reasons why I don't really support the music genre. To compare, there's a bunch of speeches that speak about the status of women in South Korea from the North and how exploitative the capitalist system is towards them, as the DPRK proudly upholds women's rights and celebrates their statuses constantly.
In Korea, respecting the personality of women has become a social ethos and virtue, and all their rights are realized by many laws, including the Socialist Constitution, the Law on Women's Rights, and the Socialist Labor Law, and by the state and social policies for women. In Korea, the women's equal right and political right are thoroughly ensured by law thanks to the Law on Sex Equality, promulgated by the great leader Kim Il-sung more than 70 years ago.
With that said, let's jump back into the Chinese alliance with the DPRK. Both of these
before he goes on, Trev said so many of these K-pop artists get plastic surgery to look more white. It's super exploitative. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. When I was living and working in Hawaii, so many of the young customers in our club would get the surgery, both in the eyes and boobs. There was a real. It was a shocker to me because I had never lived anywhere where that happened. But, I can understand it. Colonization is and the South has been for quite a long time now.
countries have a rich and deep history, as China has been a critical component in their stability, and China contributed so many of their supplies and soldiers to fight alongside them during the Korean War, and is currently their largest export and import partner, despite the number of international sanctions on North Korea. For all you that support the DPRK and not China, let me show you this clip, and we can try to end it here.
Yeah, how do you support one and not the other?
邓小平曾任中国共产党中央委员会副主席。
That is Kim Il-sung hugging with open arms Deng Xiaoping. It really does warm the heart when you see how far these two countries have gone together and keep their alliances alive, from Mao to Deng Xiaoping to Xi Jinping. And it's incredibly important to see how their alliances and how China really does help the DPRK remain stable, as the DPRK really tries to be independent and fight on their own as well. Both countries really need to be respected in following their own path towards socialism and communism. Anyways, comrades, thank you so much for watching tonight. I want to say that my spirit is rallied with the North Korean people at this time as they mobilize to repair their country from a devastating typhoon. And recently, Kim Jong-un issued a proclamation to rally all the party members to help in the repair efforts, and they've been doing such a fantastic job that it's astounding that we aren't able to do that. I wanted to see if there was any organization receiving aid to help out with these efforts, and I couldn't really find anything. However, I did find the Korean Friendship Association.
Oh, yeah.
That is an organization with the purpose of building international ties in the fields of culture, friendship, diplomacy, and business between the DPRK and other nations around the world. If you're interested in supporting this organization, I put a link down in the description below for everybody to learn more. Thanks for joining, comrades, and solidarity.
Nice, 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 nice. So if you like that, subscribe to this cat. This is his logo. Sunglasses and the bandana, right? Bay Area 415. Some of it's a little over the top, right? But good. I mean, I think pretty good quality. I couldn't do one like that. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do anything. But I'm going to get to it. I'm going to learn. But I wanted to look real quick. He said, what was it? Korean Friendship Association? I think this is Sue and Lee's association, or Henley Sue. We had a if you were here maybe 3 months ago. Yeah, this is it. If you were here maybe 3 months ago, we had a Workers' World webinar. And one of the guests was Soo Hin Lee. But now that's I'm conflating that with my Facebook group. I'm sorry. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But they have a Facebook group, the Korean Friendship Association. So if you want to look around on this, let me put it in the chat. I'm tired. I need to go to sleep. I need to go to sleep. I need to go to sleep. Shall we see who's up? Don't forget, Thursday night there's going to be the debate response, Larry and Teresa. Oh, here, let me put that in the chat one more time. Sorry, I'm literally yawning on you, so this is good because I do need to sleep. All right, let's see where to go. Dun, dun. Dun, dun. Follow. Check, check. Oh, sorry, I moved that down. Dun, dun. Oh, this DJ's fun. Oh, Carpe's on. Well, let's just go see. Let's go into Carpe. Shall we? I guess I should have guessed that. Yay. All right. Coolio. bum, bum, bum. Appreciate everyone being here tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night, about 11 or 12, and do a few hours. It'll be here on Thursday. It's going to be great. Y'all take care. Take care, Carpe. Be nice to each other. Build a worker's world. Fight like hell. All of that stuff. Tag, you're it. Ah, starting soon. Air raid. I didn't realize he hadn't started yet. That's funny. I've never raided in on somebody who didn't have a stream going. What a trip. What a trip. Incoming, incoming, incoming. That's funny. All right, I should end my stream.